Chapter 1124. The Leaf Fire Mystic Sun Realm is about to collapse. Kill. Inside the view gate, Su, E, and the others also noticed the change. They couldn't help but increase the ferocity of their attacks. With the 6 of them working together, they trapped the 4 Heavenly Dipper sect powerhouses. Su, E, and the rest were already much stronger than before, and the other 4 were also heavily injured. Under this situation, they were already forced into a corner. Whoosh! The void trembled under the bombardment, and the Leaf Fire Mystic Sun Realm shook continuously. Is a strange gate, illusory spirit world about to collapse? In the main hall, Nangong Ningyue, Wang Zhengquan, Purple Elephant Emperor, and the others also noticed that something was wrong. They couldn't help but feel nervous. Once the strange gate, illusory spirit world collapsed, the situation would shift to the Heavenly Dipper sect side. In the end, it's just a small mountain sect without any foundation. It's very difficult to pit against a colossus like the Heavenly Dipper sect, the Black Turtle Emperor side. This result was what he expected. As long as the strange gate, illusory spirit world collapsed, how could the few emperors of the Bawang sect block the dozens of emperors of the Heavenly Dipper sect? The Purple Elephant Emperor and the Dragon Rhinoceros Emperor's eyes flashed. They were thinking of a plan to escape. The Bawang sect was strong, but it definitely couldn't protect them. If they didn't think of a way to leave, the 3 of them would definitely die here. This time, even Wang Zhengquan didn't say anything. In fact, his thoughts weren't much different from the Purple Elephant Emperor and the others. The Bawang sect at its peak made them afraid, but once they fought the Heavenly Dipper sect head-on, they had no chance of winning. Huff, huff, huff. Everyone in front of the hall raised their heads and looked up. They saw pitch-black cracks in the boundless firelight. The cracks grew bigger and bigger, and the entirely Fire Mystic Sun realm began to fall apart. After a short span of 10 breaths, with a chi-la sound, the flames all over the sky suddenly seemed to have lost their source of energy and directly collapsed. All the leaf fire in the sky suddenly retracted. After releasing a last ray of light, it disappeared, and the curtain of night shrouded the place once again. At this moment, several figures appeared in front of everyone. That is, the Heavenly Dipper sect, the Gimdeo sect, and the 7-Star Sword School were overjoyed. With their efforts, they had finally broken through the Phantom World. Suddenly, he couldn't help but look over, wanting to see the situation on the battlefield. However, the scene that they saw caused their scalps to go numb. The head of the Sky Dipper sect, Hong Qianlong, unleashed his metal-type energy as he ferociously rose into the air. However, he had just charged 100 feet or so when an enormous bone dragon caught up to him and viciously bit his waist. Hong Qianlong once again coughed up blood and let out a miserable shriek. He gathered all the strength in his body and shattered the bone dragon's mouth with a single palm strike. Only then was he barely able to escape, and quickly flew towards Elder Wu and the others. At the same time, a massacre was taking place in another direction. Die. Su Yi, the Green Emperor, the Yinyang Underworld Emperor, the Devouring Spirit Emperor, Su Xiaoshui, and Huang Jian roared in unison. Each of them unleashed a terrifying attack, directly attacking the 4 figures that were surrounded in the middle. The 4 figures' auras were weak and their reactions were slow. They couldn't resist such an attack at all. In the blink of an eye, muffled sounds were heard. The bodies of the 4 Sky Dipper sect experts exploded into a bloody mist, and they died an unnatural death. These 2 scenes were seen by the Sky Dipper sect, the Gimdeo sect, and the 7-Star Sword School above, as well as Nangong Ningyue, Wang Zhengquan, and the Purple Elephant Emperor below. Gulp! The sound of rolling throats sounded. Everyone's eyes were filled with extreme shock, and they couldn't speak for a long time. Sky Dipper sect, make a decision today. He stepped out in the air, holding a broken sword in his hand. His black hair danced wildly, and he gave off an extremely fierce feeling. He looked at Hong Qianlong, Elder Wu, and the others and said loudly. Not far away, Merciless West stepped out and came to Su Yi's side, facing the people on the opposite side with him. The Green Emperor, the Yinyang Underworld Emperor, and the others also surrounded Su Yi, and Su Xiaoshui landed on his shoulder. Puff! After Hong Qianlong returned to the crowd, he spat out a mouthful of blood before he could say anything. Immediately, his body went limp, and he almost fell into the void. Sect Master, Elder Wu and the others exclaimed. They were horrified and quickly caught Hong Qianlong. They saw that the Sect Master's chest and waist had huge teeth marks that were deep to the bone. His internal organs were also ruptured. The primordial qi in his body was exhausted, and his body was severely injured. It was obvious that he couldn't fight anymore. Dead. They're all dead. Yang Baiquan, the sect master of the Gimdeo sect, said in a daze, as if his mind had wandered off. As soon as he said that, everyone around him felt a chill run down their spines, including Hong Qianlong. A total of 17 Sky Dipper sect experts were trapped in the Phantom World, but Hong Qianlong was the only one who was still alive. He didn't need to think to know what would happen to the rest of the people. Bawang's sect. Beside Elder Wu, an expert of the Sky Dipper sect clenched his fist so tightly that his eyes turned red. A total of 16 Origin Emperors, and they weren't ordinary Origin Emperors. All of them had died here. He looked at Su Yi, Merciless West, and the others with hatred, as if he wanted to kill them. If you're not convinced, let's continue the fight. Merciless West snorted as his aura surged. The power of a 7th-level Origin Emperor spread out in the void. It was even more shocking than an ordinary 9th-level Origin Emperor. Under the layers of soul power, the group of Origin Emperors opposite him felt their souls tremble. More than a dozen Origin Emperors from the Gimdeo sect and the 7-Star Sword School surrounded Elder Wu and the others, ready to fight. They still had a lot of people on their side, and they had a huge advantage in terms of numbers compared to the Bawang sect. However, in terms of raw strength, many of them were only beginner-level Origin Emperors, but it wasn't impossible for them to fight. Let's go. After a while, Hong Qianlong woke up slowly and said to Elder Wu and the others, "Sect Master." Elder Wu cried out in grief, feeling indignant. Elder Wu was furious, and his eyes were filled with murderous intent. He wanted to fight with the Bawang sect again. "Let's go," Hong Qianlong shouted. His voice wasn't loud, but it contained an unquestionable authority. Only he knew that he had no more strength to fight, and the other party still had Merciless West. If they really fought head-on, they wouldn't have any advantage at all. "Let's go." In the end, Elder Wu gritted his teeth and waved his hand at the person behind him. That person's body transformed into a gigantic barbaric beast. It was the mount of the Heavenly Dipper sect. Elder Wu and the other 3 Tiangang sect experts, together with sect master Hong Qianlong, stepped onto the back of the savage beast. With a cry, the Demon Emperor Realm Mount took to the air and instantly flew into the distance, quickly disappearing into the night. At this moment, the people from the Gimdeo sect and the 7-Star Sword School were still standing in the same place, stunned. The people from the Tiangang sect left without them. Retreat. Within the Golden Saber sect, the elder who looked a bit similar to Yang Baiquan spoke. He took the lead and quickly flew away. "Let's go. Let's go." The people from the Gimdeo sect and the 7-Star Sword School were not stupid. They didn't dare to stay there any longer. The people from the Tiangang sect had already retreated. If they didn't leave now, they would be killed by the Bawang sect. With endless fear, the experts from the 2 sects quickly retreated, and the night became quiet again. "Aren't we going to chase?" Merciless West, who was beside Su Yi, raised her eyebrows and asked. "The monk can run, but the temple can't. The Gimdeo sect and the 7-Star Sword School have provoked me again and again. Now, they're following behind the Tiangang sect like dogs. It's time for them to pay the price." Su Yi's eyes were cold as he said in a deep voice. In his heart, the current Golden Saber sect and 7-Star Sword sect couldn't be considered to be opponents any longer. With the strength of the Bawang sect, he could easily flatten them. "Boss, what do you plan to do?" Handsome Su looked at Su Yi and asked. "Everyone, recover your strength immediately. I have something to do first. Then we'll set out and flatten the Gimdeo sect and the 7-Star Sword School." When these words came out of Su Yi's mouth, a domineering aura rose from his body and spread out in the void, causing the space to tremble. Under this aura, Nangong Ningyue, Yuan Yi, and Wang Zhengquan were all shocked. It was the first time they saw Su Yi with such an aura. What a terrifying young man, the Purple Elephant Emperor said in a daze. Beside him, the Dragon Rhinoceros Emperor and the Black Turtle Emperor also nodded. In fact, they still hadn't recovered from the shock. The Heavenly Dipper sect that had arrived in an overbearing manner had actually suffered a crushing defeat and fled like a stray dog. On the other hand, the Boang sect didn't lose anyone. Su Yi and the others only suffered some minor injuries and still had more than half of their combat strength. This was too frightening. Even with the experience of the three Beast Emperors, they couldn't help but be shocked by this scene. A powerful second-rate force was defeated by the Bawang sect. This refreshed their understanding of the Bawang sect. From now on, you should call me Master, the Yin-Yang Emperor of the Underworld said coldly as he landed in front of the Purple Elephant Emperor and the others. Take them to the back of the mountain. Nangong Ningyue, you guys continue to wait here. Su, he ordered and left first. He went to the back of the mountain with Merciless West and Handsome Su. On the ground, the Purple Elephant Emperor, the Dragon Rhinoceros Emperor, and the Black Turtle Emperor were led away by the Green Emperor and the others. Attacking the Gimdeo sect and the Seven-Star Sword School was something that must be done, but Su Yi wasn't in a hurry. Chapter 1125. The Purple Elephant Emperor, the Dragon Rhinoceros Emperor, and the Black Turtle Emperor allowed the Green Emperor and the rest to carry them to the back of the mountain. They no longer had any thoughts of resistance. They had planned to escape immediately after the collapse of the Mystic Gate illusory spirit world, but they did not expect the Big Dipper sect to suffer such a crushing defeat. From this, one could see how terrifying the Leaf Fire Mystic Sun realm was. Swoosh! Su Yi entered the cave and summoned the mysterious space. After that, he led everyone inside. Once they entered the space, the Purple Elephant Emperor and the other two became nervous again. They had been here once before and found that there was a strong pressure here that made the souls of the three Beast Emperors tremble. However, the last time they were tortured by the Green Emperor and the rest, the three Beast Emperors did not have time to think about it. Since you have chosen to submit, I will set up a demon spirit contract in your minds. Do not resist, or you will die a horrible death. Su Yi said to the three Beast Emperors. Then he used his soul power and entered the minds of the three Beast Emperors to set up the demon spirit contract. At the side, Merciless West, the Green Emperor, the Yin-Yang Underworld Emperor, the Devouring Spirit Emperor, Huang Jian, and the rest sat cross-legged on the ground. They swallowed elixirs and began to recover their strength. Each of them had different degrees of injuries, but fortunately, they were not serious. With the help of the rich spiritual energy in the mysterious space, they could recover quickly. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Everyone sat cross-legged on the ground, and a strong energy was released from their bodies. Light shrouded and spread, and they were all recovering quickly. Su Yi did not spend too much time setting up the demon spirit contract, and the three Beast Emperors did not resist at all. They had seen the power of the Bawang sect and the terrifying means of this young man. They did not dare to be disloyal and could only accept their fate. At the same time, the three Beast Emperors were even more curious. They wanted to know what the benefits this young man was talking about were. It took some time to set up the demon spirit contract. When everything was done, thunder rumbled in the mysterious space, and a terrifying lightning bolt tore through the space and descended. A vast and profound pressure spread out and descended brazenly. However, this oppressive might did not pose any threat to anyone present. Instead, to the demon emperors, they felt a great sense of closeness, and a comfortable aura filled the air. Swish, swish, swish. Three beams of light flashed through the void and directly entered the minds of the Purple Elephant Emperor, the Dragon Rhino Emperor, and the Black Turtle Emperor. Seeing all this, the Green Emperor, the Yin-Yang Emperor of the Underworld, and the others all smiled. They knew that these three people had obtained unimaginable benefits here. It was very likely that they had obtained some kind of ancient inheritance, just like themselves. With this inheritance, the three beast emperors will be able to make a huge breakthrough in a short period of time. Glancing at the three people who had already entered a meditative state, the other experts closed their eyes again and continued to recover. "Boss, I'm about to break through. Give me the spirit liquid." Just as Su-Yi was about to recover his strength, little handsome Su suddenly flapped his wings and flew over. "Breakthrough?" Su-Yi was shocked and asked, "Are you about to break through to the Demon Royal stage?" Little handsome Su had broken through to the 9th level of the Demon Void stage for several months. Su-Yi thought that it would take some time for him to break through to the Demon Royal stage, but he did not expect it to happen so suddenly at this time. "Yes, I'm about to break through to the Demon Royal stage. Boss, give me the spirit liquid." Little handsome Su shouted, and his eyes lit up. For no reason, his whole body flashed with a 5-colored glow, and an ancient aura emanated from him. A terrifying pressure suddenly appeared, as if it had come from the ancient times to the present world. The feathers on handsome Su's body also changed. They were now colorful, a stark contrast from his original gray and dull appearance. "Take it. Let me know if it's not enough." Seeing this, Su-Yi did not dare to delay. He directly took out 3 bottles of spirit liquid and stuffed them into little handsome Su's arms. Seeing little handsome Su swallow all 3 bottles of spirit liquid in one breath and fly into the distance, his aura rising crazily, Su-Yi's eyes were trembling. As expected of the Phoenix bloodline, little handsome Su's breakthrough was too easy. Previously, when Su-Yi stepped into the 5th level of the Origin Void stage, he only felt that the gap between him and little handsome Su was getting smaller and smaller. Now that little handsome Su had directly broken through to the Demon Royal stage, the gap was widened again. At the end of the day, it was still the same saying, humans were inferior to birds. However, Su-Yi was happy for little handsome Su from the bottom of his heart. Recover his strength. After watching for a while, Su-Yi no longer stared at little handsome Su's breakthrough. He wondered if little handsome Su's breakthrough to the Demon Royal stage would take a long time, like Huang Jian did previously. Moreover, usually a barbaric demon beast would go through the form transformation tribulation when breaking through to the Demon Royal stage. He wondered if little handsome Su would go through the form transformation tribulation. Su-Yi knew that little handsome Su did not go through the elementary tribulation when he broke through to the Origin Void stage. This was different from other barbaric demon beasts. Su-Yi did not think too much about it. The commotion caused by little handsome Su's breakthrough did not affect the others too much for now. After all, the mysterious space was extremely vast and stable now. Less than a day had passed in the mysterious space. Su-Yi, the Green Emperor, the Yin-Yang Underworld Emperor, the Devouring Spirit Sovereign, Huang Jian, and Merciless West had almost fully recovered their strength. The Purple Elephant Emperor and the other 3 were still absorbing the benefits that they had obtained in the mysterious space. Little Handsome's bloodline is really terrifying. Merciless West turned her eyes and looked in Little Handsome Su's direction. There was already a 5-colored light cocoon there, and the situation inside could not be seen clearly. However, at every moment, a powerful aura was emitted from the light cocoon, forming a terrifying pressure. In the energy fluctuation, even the Green Emperor, the Yin-Yang Underworld Emperor, and the Devouring Spirit Sovereign could feel their beast souls trembling and wanting to crawl. This was the suppression from the bloodline, and had little to do with the strength of one's cultivation base. "Let's go, it's time for us to go out. It's time to make the Gimdeo sect and the 7-star sword school pay the price." Su-Yi's words were deep, and his eyes were like lightning, filled with ferocious intent. The group did not waste any time. They immediately left the mysterious space and went to the front mountain. "Is everyone ready?" When Su-Yi walked out of the mysterious space, the golden lion vulture, silver cloud leopard, red-wind black-eyed demon monkey, and the other savage beasts were already waiting outside the cave. "My lord, The beast army has been assembled. We are ready to go out at any time. The silver cloud leopard bowed and said loudly, "Very good." He nodded, and his eyes turned cold. The Bawang sect will go out and wipe out the seven-star sword school and the Gimdeo sect. These words came out of his mouth, and his voice echoed in the vast forest. The Xianyang golden demon falcon, wolf-head demonic bat, golden lion vulture, flaming winged demonic tiger, and the other savage beasts flew into the sky. Roar, the frost demon dragon, silver cloud leopard, red wind black-eyed demon monkey, and the other savage beasts also roared. Roar, in the dense forest nearby, the shadows of beasts appeared. These were the subordinates of the Green Emperor, the Yin-Yang Ghost Emperor, and the Devouring Spirit Sovereign. There were no less than 10 savage beasts in the ethereal stage. Let's go. He stood on the back of the flaming winged demonic tiger, his robe fluttering in the wind. The flaming winged demonic tiger let out a low roar, and with a flap of its wings, it flew out like a bolt of lightning. The other flying savage beasts carried merciless West, the Green Emperor, the Yin-Yang Ghost Emperor, Huang Jian, the Devouring Spirit Sovereign, Nangong Ningyue, Yuan Yi, Wang Zhengquan, and the others, and flew away. Behind them, there were a large number of flying savage beasts following. In the dense forest below, countless savage beasts roared again and again. Like a torrent, they swept through the dense forest and mountains. The surrounding dense forest was boiling, as if it had formed a huge beast tide. All the forces that the Bawang sect could mobilize were all out at this time. Their first target was the direction of Sword Star City. The seven-star sword school was not far from there. Beast tide? Why is there a beast tide? Just as the Bawang sect was setting off, on the way, the people of Xinjian sect and Liuhe sect were also rushing towards the Bawang sect. They had just received news that the people of Tiangang sect, seven-star sword school, and Gimdeo sect had killed their way to the Bawang sect last night. This caused Ji Tianfu, Ji Hanao, Lin Donghao, Lin Bingyao, and the others to panic. They had not had the time to communicate with the Bawang sect, nor did they have the time to send people to help. In this way, they were afraid that Su, Yi, and the others would not be able to resist. Therefore, as soon as they received the news, Ji Tianfu and the others set off. Almost all the experts in the sect were mobilized and rushed towards the Bawang sect. At the same time, they were all praying in their hearts, hoping that Su, Yi, and the others would be fine. However, not long after Ji Tianfu and the others set off, they encountered a huge beast tide. One by one, the ferocious savage beasts swept across the mountains and forests, leaped over the valleys and mountain streams, and stepped through the dense forest and swamps. All of them were heading towards the same direction. In midair, there were also flying savage beasts, releasing a domineering and ferocious aura. Such a huge beast tide. How could there be such a beast tide? An old man from Xinjian sect said in shock. He could not believe what he was seeing. Even though they were far away, they could feel the terrifying aura of the beast tide. No matter which sect it was, they would be wiped out immediately. No one would dare to face it head-on. What should we do, Elder Feng? The way to the Bawang sect is blocked. It looks like the beast tide will not end anytime soon. Should we take a detour to the Bawang sect? In another direction, the people of Liuhe sect had also encountered a beast tide, and their route was blocked. There must be a monster royal commanding. Otherwise, there would not be such a huge beast tide. Chapter 11:26. Elder Feng Qizong suddenly thought of many things. He felt that the beast tide this time was not as simple as it seemed. Looking at the way the beasts were running, they were not frightened. Instead, they were moving in an organized manner. Now was not the time to think about it. Let's take a detour and check out the Bawang sect first. After a while, Elder Feng Qizong gritted his teeth and said to the people around him, if they took a detour, they would waste a lot of time. However, they did not have a better idea. After all, the safety of the Bawang sect was more important. Regardless of whether they could make it in time, they had to go and check it out. Let's go. Under the lead of a group of experts, the people from Lioha's sect went on their way again. They changed their direction and took a detour towards the Bawang sect. On the other hand, Xinjian sect had chosen the same strategy. Not long after, the two sects were surprised to find that the horrifying beast tide was organized and did not attack them. After a period of time, the people from Xinjian sect and Lioha sect finally arrived at the Bawang sect. It was the small mountain gate that Yin Yang Emperor of the Netherworld had occupied earlier. When the people from the two forces set foot on it, they were surprised to find that the place was empty. Looking at the surroundings, it seemed that there had not been a big battle. What is going on here? Ji Tianfu frowned. He did not know what was going on in the Bawang sect. According to the intelligence, Tiangang sect was led by 7-Star Sword School and Gimdeo sect to this place. However, there were no traces left behind. Could it be that Su, Yi, and the rest had moved to another place in advance and left Tiangang sect empty-handed? Elder Feng Qizong of Lioha's sect was puzzled. He could not think of any other possibilities. If that was not the case, it was impossible that there were no traces of a big battle. Reporting to sect leader, "We have found something." At this time, a disciple from Xinjian sect came from not far away and came to Ji Tianfu. "Speak," Ji Tianfu said. "I caught a savage beast. After interrogating it, I found out that there was an expert who came last night. However, I did not know when he left. That barbaric demonic beast also said that a powerful demon clan had gathered a large number of beast clans to attack some place." That disciple said to Ji Tianfu. His position in the Xinjian faction was not low because he knew the language of beasts. Hence, he would be of great help to the faction. The Heavenly Dipper sect came, but they seemed to have left. Ji Tianfu furrowed his brows. He didn't understand the situation, so he decided not to think too much about it. However, there was another matter that piqued his interest. A powerful demon has gathered the beasts. I'm afraid it's the cause of the beast tide. What kind of place are they trying to attack by causing such a ruckus? The terrifying beast horde had already disappeared without a trace. Only a few weak savage beasts were left. Thus, they were unable to gather too much information. Sect Master Ji, do you think the beast tide has something to do with the demon emperors around Sui? Elder Guming said. When the people around him heard this, they felt that this speculation was very likely. Many of them knew that Sui had a few powerful demon emperors around him. If the barbaric demonic beasts were dispatched by them, then everything would make sense. When Ji Tianfu heard this, he did not speak for a long time. He was thinking about something. Let's go. Let's follow the direction of the beast tide and have a look. After a long while, Ji Tianfu made up his mind. He immediately led the disciples of the Xinjian faction and chased after the beast tide. The people of the Six Unity sect were not slow either. They all followed suit. The two sects felt that everything might have something to do with Sui. They really wanted to know what had happened and why that guy had caused such a ruckus. In fact, when the two sects came to their senses, Sui and the rest had already arrived at the Sword Star City. However, Sui did not ask them to stop. It was true that there were experts from the 7-Star Sword School in the city. However, the real experts should be in the sects at this time. They directly pierced through the sky. Their powerful aura covered the sky and crushed the void as they flew toward the 7-Star Sword School. So many powerful barbaric demonic beasts. What happened? Barbaric demonic beasts of the demon illusionary realm. There are many people on their backs. Such a commotion attracted the attention of many people in the Sword Star City. Many people raised their heads and looked at the scene in the sky. They were shocked. To be able to make barbaric demonic beasts of the demon illusionary realm their mounts, there must be many demon emperors among those people. A large number of demon emperors moved at the same time. They were aggressive. One look, and one could tell that something big was going to happen. There's a beast tide outside the city. They are all heading north. Soon, someone noticed the arrival of the beast tide. Those powerful barbaric demonic beasts ran past, making a huge noise. It was like a wave crashing over. Everyone in the Sword Star City was shocked to death. If the beast tide attacked, more than half of the people in the city would die. Just as they were trembling in fear, the huge beast tide crashed into the city. However, the strange thing was that the beast tide did not have any intention of attacking them. They only jumped on the buildings in the city and quickly chased after the powerful barbaric demonic beasts. So scary. Some people were panicking as they watched the powerful barbaric demonic beasts fly over their heads. The aura they released was terrifying. No one in the city dared to act rashly. They were afraid of provoking the beast tribe's attack. Fortunately, the beast tribe was very orderly. They only wanted to pass through the city and did not take the initiative to attack them. The direction they are heading is the 7-star sword school. Some experts quickly realized the crux of the matter. Whether it was the powerful barbaric demonic beasts in the sky or the beast tide that was following them, they were all rushing toward the 7-star sword school. Let's wait for the beast tide to pass and follow them to take a look. Some brave martial artists planned in their hearts. They really wanted to know what had happened and why there would be people rushing toward the 7-star sword school so aggressively. No matter what the truth was, there was one thing that everyone was sure of. Today's matter would definitely attract the attention of countless people nearby. The 7-star sword school is located in the 7-star mountain range. We'll be there soon. Su-Yi stood on the back of the flaming-winged demonic tiger with a broken sword in his hand. He stood straight and looked into the distance. Not far away, the scenery of a mountain range appeared in his eyes. It was the entrance of the 7-star sword school. These people really think that the Bawang sect is easy to bully. Today, we'll start with the 7-star sword school. We'll make them pay for their actions. The Green Emperor's eyes were gloomy and his words were cold. He turned to Su-Yi and said, "Master, I'll go and challenge them first." Seeing that Su-Yi had nodded, he did not delay and immediately charged out. "Kill!" The Yin-Yang Emperor of the Netherworld roared and jumped up from the back of his beast. His speed increased, and he charged toward the mountain range. Seeing this, the Devouring Spirit Emperor and Huang Jian also moved quickly and charged toward the mountain range. The 4 emperors were filled with murderous intent. Terrifying energy waves rippled in the void and made a terrifying buzzing sound. Roar, the flaming-winged demonic tiger, the golden lion vulture, and the other beasts growled and led Su-Yi, Merciless West, and the others to charge toward the mountain range. Ran Jianxian, come out and face your death. The Green Emperor's green robe fluttered in the wind. He stood in the air above the 7-star sword school and shouted so loudly that the entire mountain range shook. Who dares to offend the 7-star sword school? Hearing this, 2 figures rushed up to the sky and faced the Green Emperor and the others. How dare you come up here when you're only at the Origin Void Realm? Die! The Yin-Yang Emperor of the Netherworld sneered and instantly shot out 2 light blades. One was black and the other was black and white. In an instant, they attacked the 2 figures and cut their bodies in half. Blood splattered everywhere, and the severed bodies fell from the void. The Green Emperor and the others were unmoved. Their chi was still surging. From time to time, they would attack the buildings in the mountain range below. For a moment, screams could be heard from different places. No one knew how many disciples of the 7-star sword school were killed. Bawang sect, how dare you attack the 7-star sword school? After a while, Ran Jianxian finally appeared. He flew up to the sky with 5 elders of the Origin Void Realm and faced the Green Emperor and the others. Master! At this time, Su-Yi, Merciless West, and the others had also arrived. Ran Jianxian, from today onwards, the 7-star sword school will no longer exist in this world. Su-Yi's eyes were clear as if they contained divine light. He looked at Ran Jianxian and said, "Every one of the Bawang sect, listen to my order. Kill them all. Kill all the people of the 7-star sword school." His voice was so loud that it reverberated between heaven and earth. Kill, kill. Don't let any of the people of the 7-star sword school go. Following Su-Yi's order, the flaming-winged demonic tiger, the ice demonic dragon, the golden lion vulture, the silver cloud leopard, the red-wind black-eyed demonic monkey, and the other monster void realm savage demonic beasts moved at the same time. They landed on the void and rushed into the mountain range below. Behind them, more and more barbaric beasts followed suit and charged forward like a torrential flood. In the distance, more savage demonic beasts were coming. All of them were rushing into the 7-star Sword School's mountain gate. Bastard! Seeing the countless savage demonic beasts rushing into the mountain gate, Ran Jinchuan's face was distorted as he shouted. Under such a terrifying beast tide, the disciples of the 7-star Sword School would definitely not be able to withstand it. Many of them would die. Oof! Su Yi snorted. His robes fluttered as he pointed his sword at Ran Jinxian. He said coldly, "From today onwards, the 7-star Sword School will no longer exist in this world. Kill them all." As he spoke, a dazzling light rose from Su Yi's body and enveloped his entire body. After the light faded, the demon god battlesuit appeared and clung tightly to his body. Swish! Chapter 11:27. In the face of Su Yi's sudden attack, Ran Jinxian and the 5 Origin Emperor Realm Elders behind him were shocked. The young man's attack was so powerful that it was close to the strength of a level 1 Origin Emperor. This made their eyes tremble. "Kid, you're courting death." Ran Jinxian roared as he saw the ferocious sword light coming towards him. He slashed out with his sword and collided with Su Yi's sword light, causing a loud explosion. Su Yi's sword aura was directly pierced through, and the terrifying power directly attacked his body, causing his entire body to fall back. "You're the one courting death." Green Emperor stepped forward and struck out a green light, destroying the remaining power of Ran Jinchuan's sword light. After that, his figure charged out and swiftly charged towards Ran Jinxian. "Kill!" Yin-Yang Emperor of the Underworld, Devouring Spirit Sovereign, and Huang Jian moved at the same time. Each of them fought with an expert from the 7-star Sword School. "Good kid, you're good." Merciless West glanced at Su Yi and saw that he wasn't injured in the previous attack. It was obvious that the armor on his body was extraordinary. However, Merciless West didn't ask any questions. He walked past Su Yi and stood in front of the remaining 2 Origin Emperor Realm experts. He said, "Kid, leave this to us. Go help somewhere else." As soon as he finished speaking, Shi Wuqing directly summoned a terrifying barbaric demon beast silhouette to fight with an old man from the 7-star Sword sect, whereas he himself was in battle with another person instead. Su Yi glanced at the situation on the battlefield. Other than Ran Jinxian, who was at level 7 Origin Emperor Realm, the other 5 people from the 7-star Sword School were all below level 5 Origin Emperor Realm. The Yin-Yang Hell Emperor, the Devouring Spirit Emperor, and Shi Wuqing's big brother were able to suppress their opponents completely. They were able to crush their opponents as soon as they met. As for the Green Emperor and Huang Jian, they were not at a disadvantage at all when facing their opponents. The Bawang sect's victory was already decided. Seeing this result, Su Yi did not think too much. He turned around and left, landing on the battlefield below. "Kill!" The barbaric beasts roared as they charged towards the 7-star Sword School. At this time, Nangong Ningyue, Yuan Yi, Wang Zhengquan, and the others all had bloodshot eyes. More than 100 experts who had just joined the Bawang sect not too long ago were all unleashing violent attacks in the midst of the 7-star Sword School crowd. After all, the 7-star Sword School was only a third-rate sect. They didn't have the ability to set up a strange phantom world for defense. Therefore, this battle was definitely a close-quarters battle. Su Yi's figure descended and charged into the battlefield where the Gold Star Griffin, Flame-Winged Devil Tiger, Wang Zhengquan, and the others were. There were several tens of Origin Void Stage experts of the 7-star Sword School here. Die! Su Yi's gaze was piercingly cold as his killing intent was vast and shook the sky. He stepped out and executed the skyward myriad transformation steps to directly approach a middle-aged man at the 5th level of the Origin Void stage. Then he slashed out with his sword and slashed the middle-aged man in half. The 2 halves of the corpse fell from the sky as fresh blood splattered out like a rain of blood. Moreover, the attack of the expert before his death that struck Su Yi was completely absorbed by the demon god battle armor. and it didn't affect him in the slightest. Kill. Sui's figure moved once more and struck out once more. Another Origin Void Stage expert was annihilated by him. For a time, he was like a god of war that had descended into the heavens and the earth. The ghastly armor on his body made him seem incomparably dignified, extraordinary, and overbearing. Every time Sui attacked, he would annihilate an Origin Void Stage expert. His strength was already comparable to a peak 9th level Origin Void Stage expert, and with the assistance of the Demon God battle armor, he completely disregarded his opponent's attacks. Thus, his entire body moved through the battlefield like a god of slaughter that carried the will of death. The sect leader is mighty. My lord is mighty. Wang Zhengquan, the Gold Star Griffin, the Flame-Winged Devil Tiger, and Nangongnia, Yuan Yi, and the others below seemed as if they were about to go mad when they saw this scene, and all of them were indescribably excited. The strength Sui revealed was too formidable. All the Origin Void Stage experts were killed with a single move by him, and this was too shocking. Under this scene, everyone's battle intent rose even higher, and they launched a ferocious charge within the 7-star Sword School's group. Die! High up in the sky, Merciless West lightly spat out these 2 words. His palm lightly struck out and abruptly struck onto his opponent's chest. The body of this 4th-level Origin Monarch Stage expert exploded with a bang and transformed into a ball of blood mist, and he died without a trace. Swish, on the other side, the old man who was suppressed by the barbaric demon beast silhouette was finally swallowed into the stomach of a gigantic beast, and then there was no longer any movement. The 7-star Sword School is nothing more than this, just like a bunch of chickens and pottery dogs. The Yin-Yang Underworld Emperor and the Devouring Spirit Sovereign both sneered as the 2 of them killed their opponents almost at the same time. In just a short while, 4 out of the 6 Origin Monarchs from the 7-star Sword School were killed. Under the control of Merciless West, the barbaric demon beast Silhouette moved again and directly killed Huang Jian's opponent without a trace. In an instant, only Ran Jianxian was left in the battlefield, and he was still fighting fiercely with the Green Emperor. Ran Jianxian's eyes turned red as he smelled the scent of death. It was only now that he truly realized that the Bawang sect was no longer the Bawang sect of the past. He was no longer the Bawang sect that was chased by the Origin Monarchs of the 7-star Sword School and had to hide everywhere. Things had changed with the passage of time. Sui, that brat, had unknowingly gathered such a powerful force that even the mighty Tiangang sect was defeated by them. Little bastard, I won't let you go even if I become a ghost. Such a scream came from Ran Jianxian's throat. His voice was sharp and piercing. It was filled with endless hatred. He looked down at the intertwined sounds of killing and screams in the sect. Who knew how many disciples of the 7-star Sword School had died? And this made Ran Jianxian's eyes emit a bloody glow. However, there was nothing he could do. In the face of absolute strength, he could not put up any effective resistance. You are still spouting nonsense when things have come to a head. In that case, you can go and become a ghost first. Let's see how you won't let us go. The Green Emperor sneered and bombarded continuously. The Yin-Yang Emperor of the Underworld and the Devouring Spirit Emperor also rushed forward at this time. They wanted to join forces with the Green Emperor to quickly take down Ran Jianxian. The long sword in Ran Jianxian's hand stirred up a violent storm as he resisted the 3 of them. He glanced around and found that the dozens of Origin Void Realm cultivators of the 7-star Sword School had already died. Most of them were killed by that little bastard Sui. Retreat. Everyone retreat. Ran Jianxian shouted and madly attacked the Green Emperor and the other 2. Terrifying sword strikes were unleashed from his long sword, desperately blocking the attacks that came from different directions. Run! Run! After hearing Ran Jianxian shout, more than half of the remaining Origin Void Realm cultivators of the 7-star Sword School began to madly flee in all directions like stray dogs. They had completely realized that the Bawang sect was really going to raze the 7-star Sword School to the ground today. If they did not leave now, They would not be able to leave. Don't you think it's too late to run now? He sneered coldly as he kept the broken sword and carried it on his back. Then he took out a big bow from the space bag and held it in his hand. The big bow was shining with a golden light and emitted a terrifying luster. Kill. He knocked an arrow on his bow. 9 golden arrows were like 9 pillars of light. Under Su Yi's release, they flew out from the bowstring. His black hair danced wildly in the wind. With a broken sword on his back and armor on his body, the bow in his hand was like a full moon. He looked like an unparalleled god of slaughter. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. 9 arrows were shot at the same time and flew in 9 different directions. The blazing aura spread out and ignited the air wherever the arrows passed. The 9 arrows were fierce and powerful. They were as fast as lightning and as fast as thunder. They caught up with the 9 Origin Void Realm cultivators in an instant. Puff, 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 along with 9 muffled sounds, the 9 people were pierced by the arrows. Those figures lost their vitality and fell from the sky, smashing into the mountain range below. Again, when the 9 golden arrows returned, Su Yi drew the bow again and drew the bowstring into the shape of a full moon. The sound of wind and thunder reverberated around him, accompanied by the roars of dragons and tigers from the golden, blazing sky bow, causing the void to tremble. Kill! Su Yi shouted, and the 9 arrows were shot at the same time. The storm roared, the flames surged, and the wind and thunder shook the 9 heavens. Another 9 Origin Void Realm cultivators were killed by the 9 arrows. They did not even manage to escape half a mile before they died. In this way, there were only 5 Origin Void Realm cultivators left in the 7-star sword school. When they saw the scene that occurred earlier, their legs instantly went weak and their bodies trembled without end. Flee! 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 These 5 people were scared out of their wits, and their hearts were filled with despair, but they still fled without stopping. You can't escape. Su Yi's figure flashed and stepped into the void. In reality, the cultivations of these 5 people were extremely strong and were all at the 6th level of the Origin Void Realm or above. Even if Su Yi held the golden blazing sky bow, he was unable to kill all of them at the same time. He drew the bow in his hand once more and shot out 9 arrows in unison. This time, the 9 arrows were connected in a strange way and then condensed into one arrow, which shot towards one of the escaping experts. A deep trench was plowed out in the air along the way by this arrow, and the scorching and blazing air burned, causing the air to become crimson red. PFFF. An arrow like this finally shot into the expert's heart from the back and pierced through his heart, causing him to be deader than dead. Su Yi waved his hand, and the golden arrow returned to him before shooting out once more. PFFF, PFFF, PFFF. After a few more times, the last 5 Origin Void Realm cultivators were shot to death on the spot, and not a single one was able to escape. Countless gazes saw this scene occur, and the throats of everyone moved as astonishment overflowed from their faces. The 100-plus experts that had joined the Bawang sect not long ago all had shocked and terrified expressions. Chapter 1128. Many experts of the Bawang sect couldn't calm down at this time. They were frightened by the young man's domineering aura. Dozens of Origin Void Realm experts were all killed by him alone. Such a fierce and terrible method was actually done by a young man. It was also from this moment on that the people of the Bawang sect all had a deep respect for the young sect master. Including Nangong Mingyue, Yuan Yi, and Yuan Air, it was the same. In the beginning, Nangong Mingyue was willing to follow Su Yi because she felt that this young man was different and would have extraordinary achievements. That was why she was willing to follow him. But now, they really had a sense of reverence. This kind of reverence didn't only come from strength, but also from the absolute means of ruling. It was impossible not to respect and fear him. High in the sky, Ran Jianxian was about to go crazy. Seeing that the backbone of the 7-star sword school had all been killed, it made him sad and angry, and he wanted to go crazy. At the same time, in the depths of Ran Jinchuan's heart, he was incomparably calm. He thought back to what had happened in the beginning. The enmity with the Overlord sect was all because of his arrogant and conceited son. Perhaps it was destined from the beginning that the Seven-Star Sword School's many years of foundation would be destroyed because of Ran Yin. Stop howling. I'll send you to hell. At this moment, the Green Emperor let out a roar as a massive green light beam shot out from his hand. It carried with it an aura that could destroy mountains as it smashed into Ran Jinchuan's chest. At the same time, the black and white light came from another direction, directly attacking Ran Jinchuan's back. Puff! These two attacks fell, and Ran Jinxian spat out mouthfuls of blood. Just as he was about to continue his actions, the devouring Spirit Emperor's cold aura spread out, freezing everything. It directly froze his body, and even his soul was frozen. An ice sculpture was formed, standing in the air, and then fell rapidly. Bang! This ice sculpture directly smashed into the mountain below and shattered into pieces. As the cold aura dissipated, it turned into flying ash, leaving only some fragments. Under the suppression of 3 LV5 Demon Royal Realm Beast Emperors, he could not resist for long. Seven-Star Sword School's Ran Jinxian had lost his life. Master, the Origin Emperor Realm and Origin Void Realm experts have all been killed. The Green Emperor, Yin Yang Underworld Emperor, Devouring Spirit Sovereign, and Huang Jian landed beside Su Yi and said to him, "Kid, how are you?" Merciless West asked with concern. "I'm fine. I just overexerted myself." Su Yi shook his head. He had already taken out the spiritual liquid and drank a mouthful. Just now, he had killed dozens of Origin Void stage martial artists in succession, causing him to consume too much energy. In the beginning, things were still fine. With the demonic god battlesuit, he was able to kill quite a number of people without expending too much energy. Later on, when he used the golden scale blazing heaven's bow several times, he used all his strength each time. Even with the vastness of Su Yi's great void spirit sea, he could not take it. Fortunately, the outcome had been decided, and there was no need for him to make a move. "Let's do the final cleaning," Su Yi ordered. "Kid, there are many disciples in the Seven-Star Sword School. Some of them are not core disciples. Would you consider recruiting them into the Bawang sect?" Merciless West stood beside Su Yi and asked. As soon as he said that, Su Yi understood what he meant. For ordinary disciples, they would not have a strong sense of belonging to the sect. When the experts in the sect were all killed, they would not think about revenge. In fact, for many expanding forces, they would recruit the people of the other party. It was the same principle as recruiting the wounded soldiers on the battlefield. They would not be of much use, but at least they could be used as cannon fodder. Now, the Bawang sect was severely understaffed. Apart from the many savage beasts that they could mobilize, they only had about 100 people, which was a little shabby. Therefore, they could consider recruiting the disciples of the Seven-Star Sword School who were not very strong and make them work for the Bawang sect. Forget about it. The Bawang sect is still understaffed. If ordinary people want to join, we could accept them all. However, the people of the Seven-Star Sword School are our enemies, so it is not appropriate to recruit them now. We are indeed understaffed, but with the reputation of the Bawang sect, I believe that many people will want to join us soon. Su Yi thought for a while, then shook his head and said. A strong sense of confidence surged from his body. After the Alliance Conference, coupled with the misfortune of the Tiangang sect and the Seven-Star Sword School, the name of the Bawang sect would spread throughout the entire Chaos Realm. When that time came, would there be anyone who would want to join them? You're right. Merciless West nodded and said, Then we'll listen to you. I'll take care of the rest. Recover your strength well. Okay. Su Yi nodded and landed on a huge rock in the mountain range below, then began to regulate his breathing and recover. However, at the same time, he thought of something else. The Bawang sect needed to expand. When the time came, he would have more people. He would not be able to rely on himself or with someone else to manage the Bawang sect. The Bawang sect would have to start building its own system. Of course, Now is not the time to think about this. Su, he just remembered this matter. As for the details, he would think about it later. In a mountain range below, the killing was still going on. However, many of the disciples of the Seven-Star Sword School already knew that their sect leader, elders, and dozens of guardians were all dead. Therefore, no one wanted to continue the fight. One by one, they began to run away, trying to escape. The people of the Bawang sect and the many savage beasts did not deliberately chase after the disciples of the Seven-Star Sword School. With their strength, they would not be able to cause any trouble. After 2 hours, the fighting in the mountain range had subsided. The disciples of the Seven-Star Sword School were either dead or had escaped. None of them were still alive. Don't let go of any of their space bags. Search them all. Be careful. The people of the Bawang sect were cleaning up the battlefield. The Green Emperor and the others did not make a move. Instead, they were led by Nangong Ningyue and Wang Zhengquan. The person who just spoke was Wang Zhengquan. The skinny old man's eyes were glowing green. When he thought of the benefits he would reap this time, he could not suppress the excitement on his face. This guy. When Merciless West saw this scene, she could not help but raise her eyebrows. She glanced at Su Yi, who was meditating with his eyes closed. Wang Zhengquan's greedy appearance was really similar to this kid. In fact, after Ran Jinxian and the others were killed, their space bags were immediately found by the Green Emperor and the others and handed over to Su Yi. The Seven-Star Sword School must have other hidden treasures. A few of you come with me. We have to properly search this place. After searching the bodies of the Seven-Star Sword sect disciples that had died in the mountain range, Wang Zhengquan once again led his group to charge towards the numerous buildings and continue his great undertaking of plundering. Not long after, Su Yi woke up. Master, let's continue to exterminate the Gimdeo sect. When he saw that Su Yi had woken up, the Green Emperor could not help but say this. His eyes were filled with killing intent. If there are no problems, then let's go. The earlier we move, the better to prevent Yang Baikuan and the others from escaping. Su Yi's figure slowly stepped into the air as he spoke in a deep voice. When they heard his words, the Green Emperor and the others began to issue orders. They once again gathered a large number of barbaric beasts. Sect Master. Soon, Wang Zhengquan flew to Su Yi's side. The skinny old man bowed and handed over a space bag to Su Yi. Sect Master, this space bag contains the items of all the disciples of the Seven-Star Sword School. Please accept it. Wang Zhengquan was actually feeling a little regretful. He had searched for a while and did not find any hidden treasures of the Seven-Star Sword School. Hence, this was the only thing he could find. You don't have to give me the items here. Let's find a time to split them. Su Yi said. Su Yi's words stunned Wang Zhengquan. Then, he was immediately overjoyed. Previously, as a rogue cultivator, he had nothing on him. He had used all the treasures he had obtained to increase his strength. He did not have anything left. Now, even if the items on the disciples of the Seven-Star Sword School were not very good, there were still a lot of them. Perhaps, there was a very good chance that his cultivation would increase by a small step. When he thought of this, Wang Zhengquan was extremely excited. However, at this moment, Su Yi's voice rang out again. If you're ready, then let's continue and kill the Gimdeo sect. Wang Zhengquan's expression was solemn. When the people below heard this, they were all excited. We're going to flatten the Seven-Star Sword School and destroy the Gimdeo sect. Before joining the Bawang sect, I never dared to think of such a crazy thing. Haha, this is great. A few days ago, the disciples of the Gimdeo sect bullied me. This time, I can take revenge. The people of the Bawang sect were all very excited. Everyone was in high spirits. If they had said that they were going to flatten the Seven-Star Sword School in the beginning, many of them would have been afraid. But now, this fear had completely disappeared. With the strength of the Bawang sect, destroying the Gimdeo sect would be a piece of cake. Kill. Flatten the Gimdeo sect. Someone howled and began to move in the direction of the Gimdeo sect. Su Yi, Merciless West, Green Emperor, and the others took the lead again. Nangong Ningyue, Wang Zhengquan, and the others also jumped on the backs of the savage beasts. The Bawang sect set out again and attacked the Gimdeo sect. In the sky, the auras of the Emperor stage experts surged violently. The powerful flying savage beasts swept across. The endless beast tide on the ground followed closely behind, like a huge wave. Not long after Su, Yi, and the others left the Seven-Star Sword School, many figures rushed over and landed in the area. Many people died. Almost all of them were disciples of the Seven-Star Sword School. These people were shocked to find that the Seven-Star Mountain Range was full of corpses. All of them were disciples of the Seven-Star Sword School. It's the work of the Beast Tide Army from before. What powerful strength! Someone spoke out in astonishment. The Seven-Star Sword sect looked so miserable, and this caused countless people to feel shocked in their hearts. Where are the experts of the Seven-Star Sword School? Where did their origin Emperor stage experts go? Chapter 1129. When these words came out, the cultivator who spoke suddenly trembled. He only felt that his guess was a little too bold. If all the Origin Emperor and Origin Void Realm experts of the Seven-Star Sword School were dead, the result would be terrifying. In the entire Chaos Zone, other than the top 10 first and second-rated forces, there were not many people who could easily annihilate the Seven-Star Sword School. However, everyone who heard that went silent. No one refuted. That was because they did not see any real experts of the Seven-Star Sword School. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Not long after, another group of powerful savage beasts flew over and hovered above the Seven-Star Mountain Range. On the backs of the savage beasts, there were many figures. It's the experts of the Xianjian sect and the Liuhe sect. Soon, someone recognized them. They were from the Xianjian sect and the Liuhe sect. There were more than a dozen Emperor Realm experts and some disciples. FZU is version H song here. Hashtag **. So many Emperor Realm experts from these two forces are here. They're definitely out in full force. Someone quickly realized that what happened today might be more terrifying than they had imagined. It was definitely a big deal. Sect Leader G, did you find anything? On the back of the savage beast of the Liuhe sect, a middle-aged man with a domineering aura looked up and asked Ji Tianfu. I didn't see any corpses of the Origin Emperor Realm experts. However, there are many Origin Void Realm experts who died here. Ji Tianfu said in a deep voice as he swept his gaze across the surroundings. Following his gaze, one could see many corpses lying on the ground. Most of them had an arrow hole in their chest. Other than that, there were no other injuries. They were all killed by a single blow. The faces of the corpses were familiar to the people of the Xianjian sect and the Liuhe sect. They had interacted with Ji Tianfu many times. They were all Origin Void Realm experts of the Seven-Star Sword School. Dozens of Origin Void Realm experts died here. Was it really done by the Bawang sect? The middle-aged man who spoke earlier was stunned. His eyes were filled with disbelief. Others might not know, but they were very sure that the Beast Tide had something to do with the Bawang sect since they came all the way from the Bawang sect. Seeing the tragic state of the Seven-Star Sword School, no one dared to believe that this was really done by the Bawang sect. The Beast Horde is heading in another direction. Sect Leader Lin, let's continue chasing. Ji Tianfu looked into the distance and said aloud. All right. The dignified middle-aged man nodded and ordered his barbarian beast to chase after the Beast Tide at full speed. The people from the two major sects were extremely fast. They really wanted to know if all of this was really done by the Bawang sect. If that was the case, how did they escape the Heavenly Dipper sect's attack? Rumble, boundless killing intent shook the 9 heavens, surging layer after layer, quickly pushing forward. When Su Yi and his group arrived at the Gimdeo sect, Yang Baiquan, Wei Yidao, and the others were instantly startled. This time, the leader wasn't Yang Baiquan, but an old man who looked somewhat similar to him. He was the strongest person in the Golden Saber sect, Yang Yi, who was also Yang Baiquan's father. This person had also gone to the Bawang sect with the people from the Heavenly Dipper sect, but he didn't have the chance to make a move at that time. Raised the Gimdeo sect to the ground. Su Yi waved the long sword in his hand, and said without a word of nonsense, "Kill." With his order, the Green Emperor, the Yin-Yang Emperor of the Underworld, the Devouring Spirit Emperor, Huang Jian, Wang Zhengquan, Nangong Ningyue, and the others all rushed out. Su Yi and Merciless West also rushed into the crowd. Run! Yang Yi, Yang Baikuan, and the others were filled with endless panic. A total of 5 Emperor-level experts actually gave up resisting and began to flee for their lives. They had already seen the strength of the Bawang sect. It was a terrifying existence that could even block the Heavenly Dipper sect, especially the old man named Merciless West. His strength was comparable to the Heavenly Dipper sect Master Hong Qianlong. In front of such an expert, Yang Yi and Yang Baikuan didn't dare to have the slightest intention to resist. Want to escape? It's not that easy. Green Emperor and the others sneered and quickly chased. In fact, the overall strength of the Gimdeo sect was still lacking compared to the 7-star sword school. Merely in terms of the number of Origin Monarch stage experts, it was much lesser than the 7-star sword sect. After all, a few months ago, there were still 2 Origin Monarch stage elders of the 7-star sword sect that had died in the Origin Stone mine. Therefore, this was a one-sided massacre, far inferior to the 7-star sword school's resistance. Under the attack of Merciless West, the strongest cultivator of the Gimdeo sect, Yang Yi, who was close to the 8th-level Origin Emperor realm, was quickly killed. The rest, such as Yang Baikuan, Wei Yi Dao, and the others, were quickly killed by Green Emperor and the others. With such a huge gap in strength, they couldn't even escape. Even more vulnerable than the 7-star sword school. Yin-Yang Hell Emperor sneered. Beside him, Huang Jian's eyes were a little different. Previously, he was also a member of the Gimdeo sect and an elder. He didn't expect that after a few months, the entire Gimdeo sect would be destroyed because of his Bawang sect. Kill. The killing in other places was still going on. Many Origin Void Realm experts were killed one after another. Many disciples of the Gimdeo sect were also killed by a large number of savage beasts. The number of casualties was uncountable. When the overall battle was about to come to an end, Wang Zhengquan led several dozen people through the Golden Saber sect's main entrance again. He collected the space bags from the disciples of the Golden Saber sect as he searched everywhere in an attempt to find even more benefits. This old guy is really greedy. Su Yi rolled his eyes and was surprised by Wang Zhengquan's behavior. Someone is coming. At this moment, Merciless West suddenly turned around and said. Su Yi raised his eyebrows and looked into the distance. After a while, they saw several powerful savage beasts appearing in the distance, accompanied by a powerful aura. They are from a Xinjiang sect and the Liuhe sect. Merciless West said, "Why are they here?" Su Yi was also surprised. After a few breaths, the savage beasts arrived and let out cries that pierced through gold and stones. Ji Tianfu and the others flew down from the backs of the savage beasts and quickly came to Su Yi. "Su Yi, are you okay?" When Ji Tianfu saw Su Yi, he was overjoyed and asked loudly. "We are fine." Su Yi smiled and asked, "Sect Leader Ji, why are you here?" As he asked, he looked at the dignified middle-aged man on the other side. Feng Qizong and Elder Gaming were standing behind the middle-aged man. It was obvious that they were from the Liuhe sect. "It's good that you are okay." Ji Tianfu nodded. When he saw Su Yi looking at him, he said, "Let me introduce you. This is the sect leader of the Liuhe sect." "Greetings, Sect Leader Lin." Su Yi was slightly stunned. He did not delay and cupped his hands at the dignified middle-aged man. The sect leader of the Liuhe sect was the leader of a third-rate force. He could not be underestimated. "I heard that the Bawang sect leader is a young hero with an extraordinary temperament. Seeing you today, you are really different." The sect leader of the Liuhe sect, Lin Jinyang, was slightly stunned. He also bowed to Su Yi. His understanding of Su Yi was completely based on the legends. He only knew about him through his children and the 2 elders. He knew that this young man was terrifying. But then again, the Liuhe sect was involved in the feud with the Tiangang sect. It was also caused by this young man in front of him. Therefore, Lin Jinyang had a complicated feeling in the beginning. However, when he saw Su Yi, he could only feel that the young man's temperament was extremely domineering. Even he was moved by it. Sect leader Lin, you flatter me. Su Yi replied politely. Then he asked again, why are the two sect leaders here? Su Yi was very curious. Looking at the appearance of these two sects, not only did the sect leaders arrive, but they also brought 5 to 6 Origin Emperor Realm experts. It seemed that the whole sect was mobilized. This made him puzzled. He did not know what these two sects wanted to do. Could it be that they predicted that he would come to destroy the Gimdeo sect? Ji Tianfu's expression became serious when he heard Su Yi's bewilderment, and he said, we obtained news that the Heavenly Dipper sect's master led a few tens of Origin Monarch stage powerhouses, and in addition to the members of the 7-Star Sword sect and Golden Saber sect, they came in a menacing manner to search for the Overlord sect, and in the end, they went to your sect. After our Xinjian sect and Liuhe sect received news, we rushed over as fast as we could. We wanted to see if we could make it in time to help you face the enemy. However, after we arrived, we did not see any traces. However, we encountered a beast tide along the way. After some investigation, we found out that it was you who did it. That's why we followed you all the way here. When Su Yi heard this, his heart was filled with gratitude. Obviously, Ji Tianfu was telling the truth. They really mobilized all the Origin Emperor Realm experts and rushed to the Bawang sect to help him. Looking at the current situation, it was impossible for it to be fake. This was not the first time that these two sects had helped him. Although this time, he relied on the power of the Bawang sect to settle everything. He could not help but remember this kindness in his heart. Many thanks to the two sect leaders for coming to the rescue. If you need the help of the Bawang sect in the future, just let me know. Su Yi was not overly courteous and just said this. However, after hearing this, Lin Jinyang laughed and said, I really did not expect that our 3 sects would actually join forces. This is something that I have never thought of. Therefore, you don't have to be too courteous. Since we are allies, there is no reason for us to stand by and watch when you are in danger. That's right. Ji Tianfu nodded and said matter-of-factly. Sect leader Lin's words are reasonable. The Tiangang sect suffered a great loss this time and returned in low spirits. They will definitely not let it go. At that time, I may need your help. Su Yi nodded and said seriously. Chapter 11:30. Both the Xinjian sect and the Liuhe sect noticed one thing. Su Yi had just said that the Tiangang sect had suffered a great loss and had returned empty-handed. This surprised everyone. Ji Tianfu could not help but ask, I was just about to ask you what happened. How did you deal with the Tiangang sect? He looked at Su Yi with sparkling eyes, wanting to know the details. This was because, according to their understanding, it was impossible for the Overlord sect to block the attack of a second-rate force like the Heavenly Dipper sect with just a few emperors. The gap between the two was truly too great. When the Heavenly Dipper sect mobilized its forces, a few tens of Origin Monarchs had come over in one go. Besides that, there were also members of the 7-Star Sword sect and Golden Saber sect. Su Yi smiled when he heard that and told them about the matter of setting up the illusory spirit world. He also roughly recounted what happened inside. Even the Tiangang sect knew about this. It was impossible to hide it from the outside world. Su Yi did not need to hide it from the two sections. The Strange Gate Illusory Spirit World. You guys have actually set up the Strange Gate Illusory Spirit World. Ji Tianfu, Lin Jinyang, Ge Ming, and the rest opened their eyes wide in shock when they heard Su Yi's words. The 16 Origin Emperors of the Tiangang sect were all killed. Hong Qianlong, a half-step Origin Grandmaster, left with serious injuries. The 3 major sects came with great momentum, but they left like stray dogs. Such an outcome caused the people from the 2 sects to be extremely aghast. They could only find it hard to believe. If they had not heard Su Yi's words with their own ears, they would not have believed it. This was too terrifying. Once this news spread in the Chaos Zone, it would definitely cause a huge uproar. Looking at the shocked expressions of these people, the Green Emperor The Yin-Yang Emperor, the Devouring Spirit Emperor, Huang Jian, and the rest looked at each other and smiled. They felt proud for no reason. Unknowingly, the Overlord sect had already gone from a weak position where they had to flee madly when facing the Golden Saber sect and the Seven-Star Sword sect at the beginning to gradually challenge the formidable second-rate forces. Moreover, in the two confrontations they'd caused their opponents to suffer losses and leave. This formless change seemed to make people think about it, and they were still a little unprepared. Then the Seven-Star Sword School and the Gimdeo sect. After a long while, Ji Tianfu suppressed the shock in his heart and asked. Su Yi smiled and said, "These two sects wanted to kill me and have attacked me time and time again. Sects like this cannot be allowed to continue to exist." As he spoke, his murderous aura, like a raging flame. At the side, the Azure Emperor continued indifferently and added, "So from today onwards, the Seven-Star Sword sect and the Golden Saber sect no longer exist in the Chaos region. All of their elites above the ethereal stage are dead." Ji Tianfu, Lin Jinyang, Feng Qizong, and the rest of the people from Xinjian sect and Gimdeo sect were speechless. At this moment, their hearts were in turmoil and they could not calm down. The Seven-Star Sword School and the Gimdeo sect, two third-rate forces, all of their elites above the ethereal stage were dead. How powerful must one be to be able to do this? At the very least, to Xinjian sect and Liuo faction, even if they were to join forces to destroy the Seven-Star Sword School and the Gimdeo sect, they would suffer a great loss. Looking at it this way, the Overlord sect's strength had reached a terrifying level. Faction leader. Just as Su Yi and the rest were talking, Wing Zhengquan cautiously approached them and looked at Su Yi anxiously. "What's wrong?" Su Yi asked curiously. "Faction leader, can I have a word with you?" Wang Zhengquan said mysteriously and kept winking at Su Yi. Looking at him, Su Yi was even more confused. He did not know what this skinny old man was up to. The two of them went to the side, and Wang Zhengquan used an extremely low voice to say to Su Yi, "Sect leader, let's quickly take action. The Seven-Star Sword sect and the Golden Saber sect have been annihilated, but their subordinates still have cities. The two sects had their own businesses and properties there, which were extremely valuable. If we don't take over soon, they will be taken away by others, and we will suffer a great loss." Wang Zhengquan tried to calm himself down, but when it came to matters related to money, this old man could not help but get agitated. "That's true." Su Yi raised his eyebrows and pulled himself together. The Seven-Star Sword School and the Gimdeo sect were both powerful forces in the Chaos Zone, and each had a few cities under their control. For example, the Sword Star City was one of the cities under the Seven-Star Sword School and was a place where countless rogue cultivators gathered to trade. At the same time, the Seven-Star Sword School also had a lot of properties and businesses in the Sword Star City. A sect's normal income usually came from these aspects. Therefore, if the Bawang sect could control the cities under the two forces, it would provide them with an endless source of income in the future. Then let's move quickly and take over all the cities. Su Yi was a little anxious. How could he not understand what Wang Zhengquan meant? As long as the news of the Seven-Star Sword School and the Gimdeo sect's destruction spread to those cities, the people in power would definitely take all the benefits and leave behind an empty shell. If this dragged on, the losses would be great. Su Yi felt his heart ache just thinking about it. But, however, in the next moment, Su Yi's eyebrows were tightly knitted together and he looked distressed. He wanted to attack at lightning speed and occupy a few cities before the other parties could react to the situation. But the problem was, right now, the Overlord sect only had a few big cats and small cats. There were only a total of slightly over 100 people. How could they possibly occupy a few cities? How could they take over so many properties? How could they intimidate those rogue cultivators? Yes, the Beast Kings could mobilize a large number of savage beasts, but they couldn't possibly let the savage beasts guard the cities. Who knew how many rogue cultivators and people from small forces would be scared off? They wouldn't be able to do any business in the future. What was the use of having a city? Why didn't I think of this problem before? Su Yi rubbed his temples and felt a headache coming on. The problem of the Bawang sect's lack of manpower was suddenly magnified many times over. Sect leader, we can't delay any longer. We'll be losing vitality stones. Wang Zhengquan was distressed. When he thought of the loss of vitality stones, he only felt heartache. However, he also knew the situation of the Bawang sect. There was no good way to solve the problem of manpower at the moment. There's only one way now. After a while, Su Yi's expression turned serious, and he said in a low voice, "What is it?" Wang Zhengquan's eyes lit up. Su Yi didn't explain much. He just turned around and flew back to the people of Xinjian's sect and Liu's sect. Wang Zhengquan was confused. However, this time, he mustered up his courage and followed him. He really wanted to know what the sect leader had thought of. Sect leader Ji, sect leader Lin. Su Yi looked at Ji Tianfu and Lin Jinyang and said, "I want to do business with the two of you. Are you interested?" Ji Tianfu and Lin Jinyang were stunned. They hadn't recovered from the shock just now. At this time, they heard Su Yi say that he wanted to do business with them. The change in attitude was so big that the two of them couldn't make sense of it. However, they still asked subconsciously, "What business?" Su Yi pondered for a moment and said seriously, "Now that the 7-star sword school and the Gimdeo sect have been destroyed, they still have a few cities under them. There are many businesses and properties in those cities that need people to take over. However, the Bawang sect is short of manpower now. Therefore, I hope that the two of you can send some people to be stationed there. We can't delay too much. Otherwise, once the benefits are taken away, it will be a great loss." Su Yi didn't hide his thoughts and directly said them out loud. This was the truth. Even if he tried to hide it, the two of them could easily see through him. When it came to business, Ji Tianfu and Lin Jinyang quickly became serious and suppressed their previous emotions. "Then, what do you want?" Lin Jinyang looked at Su Yi and asked. Ji Tianfu also looked at the young man in front of him. He knew that this young man wasn't a generous person. It was impossible for him to give them a few cities for free. This young man must have some requirements. It's very simple. I want the two of you to help me occupy all the cities and wait until the Bawang sect has enough manpower to take over. During this period, we will split the profits equally. Furthermore, when the Bawang sect has the ability to take over, we will give you 2 cities to manage for 10 years. I won't take a single cent for the next 10 years. Su Yi looked at the two of them and said. After hearing what he said, Ji Tianfu and Lin Jinyang both fell into silence. They were both thinking about something. Behind Su Yi, Wang Zhengquan lowered his head. His fingers were constantly moving and his eyebrows were tightly knitted. If 10 years isn't enough, at least 50 years. After a while, Ji Tianfu suddenly said, "After 50 years, all the properties in that city will be handed over to the Bawang sect." His eyes flashed as he looked at Su Yi. He instinctively wanted a bargain with this young man. The last time in 9-Star City, after exchanging 20 places from this young man, Ji Tianfu heard Su Yi exclaim excitedly outside the door, "I'm rich! I'm rich!" Therefore, the price that this young man quoted was definitely a lot more than what he expected. Sect Master Ji. At the side, Lin Jun wanted to say something. He felt that Ji Tianfu was too greedy. He wanted 50 years of management rights in one go. In fact, 10 years of revenue from a city was already very impressive. Moreover, they didn't have to pay too much. They only had to occupy a few cities for the Bawang sect for a period of time. Moreover, they could still get half of the profits. Normally, he wouldn't dare to think of such a good deal. Now that Su Yi mentioned it, Lin Jinyang felt that it was a very good deal. However, he was interrupted by Su Yi. Sect Master Ji, you're asking for too much. I'll add another 10 years at most. A total of 20 years, no more. Otherwise, we won't be able to continue this business. Chapter 1131. In fact, it was just as Ji Tianfu had expected. When Su Yi said 10 years, it was just a casual remark. If Ji Tianfu had agreed to it, Su Yi would have been surprised. With the experience of selling the quota for the alliance meeting, Su Yi felt that Ji Tianfu was a straightforward person. Therefore, He quickly increased it to 20 years. This was a number that he could accept. However, it was obvious that Ji Tianfu did not intend to agree so easily. He immediately said, 20 years is definitely not enough. Let's take a step back. 40 years. Having said that, he looked at Su Yi with a smile and placed his hand behind his back. Seeing this expression, Su Yi was stunned. Since when did the sect leader of Xinjian sect start asking for sky-high prices? Sect leader Ji, I don't think this is a good idea. Su Yi's expression became conflicted. He definitely couldn't accept 40 years. That was too long. It's business. It's a collaboration. If we get along, we'll do it. If we don't, we won't do it. It's that simple. Ji Tianfu said with a smile. He did not seem to be in a hurry at all. As he said that, Ji Tianfu kept winking at Lin Jinyang. He was trying to tell Lin Jinyang not to say anything and to just listen to him. Su Yi suddenly felt a headache. He did not know why Ji Tianfu's behavior was so different from the last time. However, he was the one who had a favor to ask of Ji Tianfu. All of a sudden, he was in a passive position. Time is of the essence. Sect leader Ji. Su Yi's face darkened. He said, it's a fixed price. 30 years. You don't have to say anything else. He was really anxious. If he did not take action now, once the experts in the few cities reacted and took away the treasures, he would be in deep trouble. Su Yi had taken a step back. He had raised the time limit to 30 years. No matter what, they had to take down a few cities to gain more benefits. Otherwise, if other forces rushed over to take over, it would be troublesome. However, when Su Yi said 30 years, Ji Tianfu immediately laughed. Deal. Look at hashtag L original asterisk V chapter. The then looked at Lin Jinyang. Sectmaster Lin, let's move quickly. As if he was afraid that Su Yi would regret, Ji Tianfu did not delay at all. He pulled Lin Jinyang and ran away with the people of Profound Yang sect and Six Unity sect. After a short while, the people of the two sects disappeared without a trace. Everyone from the Overlord sect stood rooted to the ground in a daze when they saw his swift movements. Sect Master, this Wang Zhengquan looked in the direction where those people disappeared and wanted to say something. The corner of Su Yi's mouth twitched as he muttered, I seem to have been tricked. Looking at Ji Tianfu's expression, it was obvious that he was very satisfied with the 30-year time limit. Speaking of which, Su Yi felt that he had suffered a huge loss, but at the same time, he couldn't understand why Ji Tianfu's performance was completely different from when they had made the transaction in Nine Star City. Young man, these two sects are already very benevolent. At this time, Merciless West came in front of Su Yi and said to him, the 7-Star Sword School and Gimdeo sect have been destroyed. If they want to forcibly take over those cities, it won't be difficult at all. After all, our Bawang sect doesn't have the manpower to participate in it. Su Yi nodded when he heard this. Of course, he understood this principle. With the current manpower of the Bawang sect, it would be good enough if they could occupy one city at most. Moreover, this would also disrupt Su Yi's other plans. Under such circumstances, the other sects nearby would definitely snatch a few cities when they saw that there were no lords. In that case, even if the Xinjian sect and Liuhe sect were to forcibly take over those cities, Su Yi would have nothing to say. It was better than letting those cities fall into the hands of other forces. Speaking of which, the 7-Star Sword School and Gimdeo sect were indeed destroyed because of the Bawang sect. However, when it came to competing for benefits, many people wouldn't talk about this principle. Whoever snatched the city would own it. The Xinjian sect and Liuhe sect had agreed to help the Bawang sect manage the city for a period of time. This was already the best outcome. Therefore, although Su Yi was heartbroken, he didn't think that the two sects had gone overboard. It's time to go back and carry out the next step of the plan. Su Yi looked around and saw that the Gimdeo sect's raid had ended. There was no need to stay any longer. Soon, he ordered the barbaric beasts to retreat. He and the rest of them jumped onto the back of the flying beasts and started to head back. They quickly disappeared into the distance. From afar, many small forces and rogue cultivators saw the movement in the sky. They watched as the beasts disappeared into the distance. They couldn't help but rush to the mountain gate of the Gimdeo sect. The Gimdeo sect has been destroyed. When the news spread, everyone was in an uproar. Many people saw that the ground was littered with corpses. Among them, there was the sect leader of the Gimdeo sect, Yang Baikuan. As for the rest, although there were no corpses left, they must have died an unnatural death. The 7-star sword school has also been wiped out. All the elites are dead. In next to no time, everyone associated it with the 7-star sword sect. They didn't find any corpses of the Origin Emperor Realm cultivators in the 7-star sword school. However, when they thought about it, their bodies and souls must have been destroyed. Such a result was too frightening. 2 flourishing third-rate forces have been annihilated in a single day, and all those above the Origin Void stage have been executed. Such a shocking news would definitely spread throughout the entire Chaos region. What? You said that there were several Beast Emperors and some humans in the group who attacked? Not long after, this news also spread in the surrounding area, and it spread further and further. Some witnesses saw the appearance of Su, Yi, and the rest. Through some other channels, they found out that there were several powerful Beast Emperors in the group. Normally, humans and demonic beasts were enemies. They wouldn't join forces to deal with the 7-star sword school and the Gimdeo sect. Such a strange lineup immediately attracted the attention of many people. Hey, they seem to be the group of young men who caused a huge disturbance a few months ago. Some people recalled that a few months ago, the Gimdeo sect and the 7-star sword school had suffered a great loss at the hands of a young man. The young masters of the 2 sects were killed by that young man. The 2 sects sent a large number of experts to surround and kill that young man, but they couldn't catch him. Is the young man you're talking about called Su Yi? Is he from a sect called the Bawang sect? Suddenly, such a voice was heard. It was shocking. When such a statement was heard, everyone was instantly shocked. What? The Bawang sect? Was it done by Su Yi? According to the description of the witnesses, everyone quickly confirmed that the attackers were indeed Su Yi and the people from the Bawang sect. Who is Su Yi? What kind of force is the Bawang sect? Is it very powerful? However, at the same time, such questions were circulating among the crowd. However, such questions instantly attracted the ridicule of countless people. You're too ignorant. You don't even know the Bawang sect? You don't even know the King of Sky Prides, Su Yi? Su Yi and the others had only returned for a few days, but the news of the Alliance Conference had already spread here. However, it hadn't spread completely. There was still a small number of people who didn't know about it, but the majority had already heard about it. At this time, after the Gimdeo sect and the 7-star sword school were destroyed, the speed at which the names of Su Yi and the Bawang sect spread once again accelerated. The King of Sky Prides, Su Yi, had amazed everyone in the Alliance Conference. It was him who represented a sect and resisted the joint attack of the Gimdeo sect and the 7-star sword school. In the end, he easily killed 20 outstanding disciples of the other side. It was him who challenged 2 arenas alone and successfully obtained 40 spots for the Alliance Conference. It was him who hunted down Wu Jiuyo, a disciple of the first-rate force, the Blood Sun sect, in the secret realm of ominous spirits. In the end, he had no choice but to give up his spot on the Nirvana Dragon platform to save his life. It was him who stepped onto the 10th level of the Nirvana Dragon platform and defeated all his opponents to obtain the title of King of Sky Prides. It was also him who killed many people from the Heavenly Dipper sect in the secret realm of ominous spirits and attracted the sect leader of the Heavenly Dipper sect, Hong Qianlong, to personally make a move. However, in the end, the powerful leader of a second-rate force was also stopped by the powerhouses of the Bawang sect. Su Yi himself even defeated a powerhouse at the peak of the 9th level of the Origin Void stage and caused the Heavenly Dipper sect to suffer a great loss again. Su Yi, Merciless West, and Bawang sect. The names of these 3 quickly spread and were known by countless people. When all of this was combined with the destruction of the 7-star sword school and the Gimdeo sect, everyone was shocked by Su Yi and the Bawang sect. It's not just the 7-star sword school and the Bawang sect. I've received news that before the Bawang sect annihilated the two sects, he brought the powerhouses of the Heavenly Dipper sect to look for the Bawang sect. Someone was well informed and obtained this piece of information. That's right. I heard from a senior brother from the Six Unity sect that the Bawang sect set up a powerful illusory spirit world and trapped more than 10 monarch stage powerhouses in the Heavenly Dipper sect. Even a half-step origin ancestor Hong Qianlong was there. In the end, all the origin emperors were killed, and the sect leader of the Heavenly Dipper sect, Hong Qianlong, was heavily injured. In the end, he fled in panic and returned in defeat. Another person spread such news, causing everyone to be shocked to the extreme. The Heavenly Dipper sect was a powerful second-rate force. It was one of the top forces in the entire Chaos Zone. However, it had been defeated by the Bawang sect. In addition, Su Yi comes from the Central Province and is a disciple of the Xinjiang Gate. There is a deep hatred between him and the Sacred Mountain. He once won the championship of the Sacred Martial Assembly and trampled the Sacred Mountain's sun under his feet. He even escaped from the encirclement of many powerhouses from the Sacred Mountain and came to the Chaos Zone. In such a desperate situation, he became sworn brothers with several other people. What a heart-rending thing. Su Yi's origin was also spread by word of mouth. Everyone realized that this young man was a legend. Along the way, the things that had happened to him were too incredible. It had only been a few months since the Sacred Martial Assembly in the Central Province. It seemed that the young man had stepped into the ranks of the Origin Void Realm from the initial stage of the Yuanzhen Realm. In such a short period of time, the entire Chaos Zone had been stirred up by him. From the grudges between Su Yi and the Gimdeo sect and the Seven Star Sword School, to his fame in the Alliance Assembly's preliminary selection, to his fame in the secret realm of ominous spirits, and now the encounters of the Heavenly Dipper sect, the Seven Star Sword School, and the Gimdeo sect. Chapter 1132. Everything that had happened recently was caused by that young man and the Bawang sect. Now, everyone suddenly realized that the previously unknown Bawang sect had become so powerful that no one dared to underestimate them. Especially the most powerful person, Merciless West, who was at the 7th level of the Origin Emperor realm, was able to fight a half-step to the Origin Ancestor realm without being at a disadvantage. Most importantly, the mysterious gate illusory spirit boundary that was used to fight against the Tiangang sect was most likely set up by him. If such a character was a rogue cultivator, then even the 3 first-rate powers would fight over him. As time passed, the names of Su Yi, Merciless West, and the Bawang sect spread rapidly. Not only in the Chaos region, but even in the 6 continents, 3 continents, and 1 ocean. Among them, the Central Continent was the most popular. Sacred Mountain, Xinjiang Gate, Jutian Palace, and many other forces had different reactions when they heard the news. Some were happy, while others were furious. Somewhere in the Chaos region, there was a vast and majestic mountain range that was shrouded in a blood-red fog. When the sunlight shone on the fog and reached the mountain, it turned into a blood-red light, making the entire space look like a land of blood and evil. It was extremely terrifying. On a majestic mountain peak, Wu Jiuyo stood in the air and looked into the distance with a cold gaze. Su Yi, I have underestimated you. Wu Jiuyo's eyes were cold and filled with a cold luster. There was hatred in his eyes. After he heard the news from the outside world and knew that the Tiangang sect had been defeated by Su Yi, the hatred in his heart grew. Swoosh! Suddenly, there was a flash of light on the mountain peak, and an old figure appeared beside Wu Jiuyo. Elder Bai. Seeing the old man appear, Wu Jiuyo nodded to greet him. It was Elder Bai, who had led the team in the Alliance meet earlier. You've heard about that brat Su Yi too? When Elder Bai arrived, he immediately asked, Until now, we still don't know what kind of artifact he obtained. Wu Jiuyo and Elder Bai had been brooding over the little beast that Su Yi had obtained in the vast spirit's secret realm. At that time, in order to achieve this goal, Elder Bai had even plotted against Su Yi and wanted to use the Tiangang sect to suppress him. However, all of them had underestimated that brat. In the end, he still managed to escape successfully. With the people from the Blue Cloud Hall and the Nine Stars Valley present, Elderby didn't dare to make it public. He didn't dare to say that he had obtained a powerful artifact. No matter what it is, it's at least at the level of a magical artifact. Wu Jio pondered for a moment before he said, a tool that could possess a tool spirit was definitely extraordinary. Even if it was a magic tool, it was definitely not something that an ordinary magic tool could compare to. This old man will personally make a trip there and find a chance to kill that brat. He has more than one treasure on him. He also has a strange wooden chest, something that even the Sacred Mountain wants. A murderous aura flashed across Elderby's words. When they left the secret realm previously, they tried to chase after Su, Yi, and the others. However, they probably took the wrong route and didn't manage to catch up. That Bawang sect is very powerful, especially that merciless West. Elderby, are you confident in taking action? If not, why don't you report to the sect leader? I'm sure he'll be interested in that artifact. Wu Jiuyo suddenly raised his eyebrows and said directly. He didn't have any intention of being polite to Elderby. After all, he was the #1 prodigy of the Blood Sun sect. His status was extraordinary, and he didn't need to give Elderby too much face. Previously, he had been polite outside the secret realm because he needed to rely on Elderby for protection. Elderby was stunned but didn't say anything. With his own strength, he really couldn't deal with merciless West, especially when Elderby could set up the mysterious gate illusory spirit world. Elderby, please help yourself. I'll go see the sect leader first, Wu Jiuyo said and left. He didn't pay too much attention to Elderby. This made Elderby Zun's face extremely ugly. No matter how extraordinary a junior status was, he was extremely displeased that Elderby Zun put on airs in front of him. You can't even get on the Nirvana Dragon platform, yet you still have the face to see the sect leader. Elderby sneered. He could see that Wu Jiuyo's only goal was to kill Su Yi. With Wu Jiuyo's strength, it was impossible for him to deal with a young man with his own strength. Therefore, Elderby Zun needed the help of someone stronger. In that case, I wish you good luck. Elderby finally snorted coldly. His figure rose into the sky and flew away from the mountain peak, disappearing from sight. Su Yi and the others returned quickly. They didn't go back to their previous lodgings. Instead, they returned to the place where the Feng family village was. Under Nangong Ningyue's management, the appearance of the place had changed greatly. Not bad. Now it really has the appearance of a sect. Su Yi and the others landed in the void. They saw a 10-foot-tall rock standing in front of them. The words Bawang Sect were written on it. It was extremely imposing. The rock towered to one side. In front of it was a large road that led straight inside. Walking in, they saw that the original village houses had been renovated and transformed into a few large halls. The remaining areas were still residences. The appearance of the Feng family village was completely different from before. In the past, it had a kind of rural atmosphere. Now, it had a somewhat grand charm. Time is short. I haven't had the time to completely transform this place. Nangong Ningyue stood in front of Su Yi and pointed to a place. She said, Sect leader, look, that place is suitable for building a conference hall. That place could be completely flattened and used as a martial arts practice field. There are also a few mountain peaks over there that could be opened up as a place for seclusion. In fact, the surrounding space is very big. It's enough for us to display our skills. Every time Nangong Ningyue pointed in a direction, Su Yi would look in that direction. He found that this woman was really insightful. The plan she conceived was very much in line with Su Yi's ideas. Moreover, her method of controlling people was second to none. Su Yi was considering that in the future, when the Bawang sect began to divide the system, Nangong Ningyue should be able to be trained well. I'll leave these things to you in the future. Just do it according to your own ideas. We also need to expand the scale and recruit powerhouses. When the time comes, this place will definitely not be enough to display our skills. Su Yi said aloud. After taking over the 7-star sword school and the Gimdeo sect city, he realized that the Bawang sect was seriously understaffed. These things should be put on the agenda step by step. Yes, sect leader, Nangong Ningyue said respectfully. When we have time in the future, we will arrange it well and engrave another Mystic Gate phantom world here. Merciless West was also looking around and observing the terrain. Su Yi nodded when he heard this. The last time he arranged the Li Fire Mystic Yang realm was only to deal with the attack of the Heavenly Dipper sect. He did not engrave it in its most perfect state. Otherwise, with the true power of the Li Fire Mystic Yang realm, Hong Qianlong would be trapped in it. Without Merciless West taking action, he would end up half dead. This was the result of good luck. Let's take it step by step. We still have a lot of things to do now. Su Yi immediately spoke and looked at Wang Zhengquan and Nangong Ningyue. Wang Zhengquan, Nangong Ningyue, come with me. After Su Yi finished speaking, he took the lead and entered a hall not far away. Wang Zhengquan, Nangong Ningyue, Green Emperor, Yin Yang Underworld Emperor, Devouring Spirit Emperor, and Huang Jian also followed. Nangong Ningyue, you have performed well during this period of time. This is your reward. Su Yi threw out a jade bottle that contained a bottle of spiritual liquid, which was caught by Nangong Ningyue. Thank you, Sect Master. After receiving it, Nangong Ningyue did not have any intention of opening it. She just cupped her fist and thanked him. Consume this item carefully. It can give you great benefits, but don't be impatient for quick success. Su Yi exhorted and then said, next, you will help the Bawang sect recruit experts. We need manpower and we need to expand. But we should have some principles when using people. For the time being, we will follow the previous standards of your Blue Moon mercenary group. As for the future, we will talk about it in detail when we have time. Su Yi gave Nangong Ningyue a bottle of spiritual liquid to improve her cultivation. Although this woman's talent was extraordinary, she was only at the 5th level of Yuan Zhen realm. With the expansion of the Bawang sect, if her strength was not enough, she would not be able to intimidate those new recruits. Yes, Sect Master. Nangong Ningyue nodded. She still did not realize the preciousness of the item in the jade bottle. You can leave first. Su Yi waved his hand. After Nangong Ningyue left, Su Yi's eyes looked at Wang Zhengquan again. Sect Master. For some reason, Wang Zhengquan's teeth could not help but chatter when he saw Su Yi's solemn expression. He was nervous in his heart and spoke with a slight tremble. A cultivation at the 9th level of the Origin Void stage. How far do you think you are from the Origin Monarch stage? Su Yi looked at the old man before him and asked. Reporting to Sect Master, this subordinate is not far from the Origin Monarch stage. But unfortunately, the opportunity has not arrived. I'm afraid it will not be easy to break through. Wang Zhengquan laughed bitterly and said honestly, as a rogue cultivator in the past, he was really quite poor. Actually, there were sects that were willing to recruit him, but Wang Zhengquan did not like being ordered and restrained by others. Later on, when he heard that a new sect, the Bawang sect, appeared, he only felt that he had the opportunity to gamble and obtain an extraordinary position among the overlords and become a person in power. However, he never thought that he would actually encounter such a ferocious sect master. Moreover, the overall strength of the Bawang sect was much stronger than he imagined. Since you're not far from the Origin Monarch stage, I will bring you to a place now and give you the opportunity to break through to the Origin Monarch stage. However, you must keep this place a secret and not let any outsiders know. Otherwise, I will definitely kill you. Su Yi stared at Wang Zhengquan seriously and said word by word. Chapter 1133. This subordinate dares not. Wang Zhengquan's expression turned solemn as he hurriedly responded. At the same time, he was also puzzled in his heart. Could it be that this young sect master in front of him had a way to quickly break through to the Origin Emperor realm? Let's go to the back of the mountain. Su Yi waved his hand and led everyone to the back of the mountain. Wang Zhengquan had already taken the bone-devouring soul pill. Su Yi wasn't afraid that he would cause any trouble. As long as the other party wasn't stupid, he would definitely be able to distinguish the severity of the matter. Nangong Mingyue and the others had already figured out the surrounding terrain of the original Feng family village. In addition to the existence of Feng Pu, many secret places were discovered by the Bawang sect. Su Yi and the others dashed out for dozens of miles before they found a cave and entered it, letting Huang Jian stay outside to guard. Su Yi led everyone into the mysterious space. This is when the surging majestic power slapped on his body like a tide. Wang Zhengquan was completely stunned. The spiritual energy here was too rich. As an origin void realm cultivator, he had never felt such rich spiritual energy in a place after cultivating for dozens of years. In addition, there was an invisible vast pressure fluctuation that made Wang Zhengquan's heart tremble involuntarily. Take this, and you could try to break through to the Origin Emperor realm. Su Yi also threw out a bottle of spiritual liquid and said to Wang Zhengquan, since this old man was already a member of the Bawang sect, Su Yi naturally had to do his best to help him break through. Thank you, Sect Master. Wang Zhengquan received it and opened the cork. His expression suddenly changed greatly. Just by smelling it, he could sense that the thing in the bottle was extraordinary. This was definitely a treasure. In an instant, Wang Zhengquan's body couldn't help but tremble. If he had a lot of doubts about Su Yi's words before, at this moment, he truly understood why the young man could be so confident. With this spiritual liquid, Wang Zhengquan believed that it wouldn't take long for him to break through to the Origin Emperor realm. You can cultivate in seclusion here. After you succeed in your breakthrough, I will bring you out. Don't ask about anything else, Su Yi said. After Wang Zhengquan responded, he found a place to cultivate in seclusion. This mysterious space was already very vast. It was many times larger than the territory occupied by the Bawang sect. Master, the Purple Elephant Emperor and the others are about to break through. The Green Emperor, who was at the side, remarked to Su Yi. Everyone followed his gaze and saw 3 silhouettes in the distance, each occupying an area. Demonic chi surged from their bodies, billowing around them. The Purple Elephant Emperor, the Dragon Rhinoceros Emperor, and the Black Tortoise Emperor also obtained the ancient inheritance in this space after Su Yi laid down the demon spirit contract. Now that a few days had passed, the auras on their bodies were much stronger than before. It was obvious that all 3 of them would have a huge breakthrough this time. Master, I haven't fully refined the item you gave me last time. Coincidentally, there have been many battles recently, which have given me a lot of new insights. So I'm going to cultivate in seclusion for a while and continue to break through to a higher realm. Suddenly, the Yin-Yang Emperor of the Underworld looked at Su Yi and said. Su Yi raised his eyebrows. He immediately understood that the Yin-Yang Emperor of the Underworld meant that he hadn't fully refined the Golden Dragon Blood Essence. If he could continue to comprehend and break through this time, wouldn't his strength soar again? In this way, the overall strength of the Bawang sect would be greatly improved. Me too. I feel that I can break through soon. But this time, I have to comprehend it well and strive to reach a higher realm. Seeing Su Yi glancing at him, the Green Emperor nodded and said. Hearing their words, the spirit-devouring Emperor said helplessly, Actually, I'm going to cultivate in seclusion for a while, but I'm not sure that I can break through to the 6th level of the Demon Royal Realm. Compared with the Green Emperor and the Yin-Yang Emperor of the Underworld, the spirit-devouring Emperor was not as strong as them, so he was a little envious. If he could follow Su Yi earlier, he would not be weaker than them. Are you all going to break through? That's a good thing. Su Yi was very happy. He said happily, Take another bottle of spiritual liquid, each of you. There's not much left. Good steel should be used on the edge of a blade. You should save some for yourselves. He took out 3 more bottles of spiritual liquid and gave them to the 3 beast emperors. Last time, he had devoured a lot of spiritual liquid from the 7-star sword school's primordial stones. But after such a long time, more than half of it had been used up. As Su Yi's strength grew and the number of followers he had increased, the rate of consumption was also much faster than before. But there was one thing. The mysterious space was still producing spiritual liquid. He had collected the spiritual liquid twice in the small pool. At this time, a thin layer of spiritual liquid seeped out again. "Thank you, Master." The Green Emperor, the Yin-Yang Emperor of the underworld, and the Spirit-Devouring Emperor said respectfully, "Go and cultivate in seclusion. It seems that little handsome is going to break through successfully. I'll wait for him to finish." He waved his hand and said, following his words, their gazes turned in another direction. There, the colorful light cocoon around little handsome was bursting with light, and the energy was fluctuating, making a buzzing sound. A huge phantom of a phoenix appeared in the void, but it was illusory and unreal. The Green Emperor, the Yin-Yang Emperor of the underworld, and the Spirit-Devouring Emperor all looked in that direction and trembled. They had to run their chi to suppress the horrible fear in their bodies. The three of them watched for a while and did not dare to continue watching. Instead, they all went to find a place to cultivate. "Grandpa Ginseng, how have you been recently?" He walked in the mysterious space and went to the spiritual herb field. Among the many spiritual herbs planted, there was an inconspicuous green plant. After he spoke, the plant wriggled, and in the next moment, a big radish crawled to the ground. In fact, it was not a big radish, but a blood jasper ginseng, a rare treasure. "You've done a lot of things recently. More and more people are coming in." The blood jasper ginseng looked at with fear. Those who entered the mysterious space were very powerful, and there were many emperor-level existences. The blood jasper ginseng was not afraid of those who were familiar with him. However, he did not dare to provoke those like the purple elephant emperor. If he was caught and eaten, he would be in big trouble. It was also because of this that the blood jasper ginseng had been hiding in the spiritual herb field, pretending to be ordinary. Our Bawang sect is getting stronger and stronger. This is a very normal situation. Grandpa Ginseng, you have to get used to it. He smiled, and then said, "Grandpa Ginseng, you should break through to the Demon Emperor stage soon. When the time comes, the Bawang sect can also arrange for you to be an elder." He had mentioned the Bawang sect to Grandpa Ginseng before, but he did not go into detail. However, seeing so many people coming in and out of this mysterious space, the blood jasper ginseng could also feel that the Bawang sect strength was constantly improving. Demon Emperor stage, the blood jasper ginseng suddenly felt a little emotional and said, "If it was in the past, I would not even dare to think about that level. But now, with this mysterious space of yours, I am very confident that I can step into that level." He looked at with a complicated expression. Ever since he met this young man, the blood jasper ginseng had obtained unimaginable benefits in the mysterious space. He had successfully broken through to the demon void stage and passed the cardinal tribulation. And now, he was more and more confident that he could step into the demon emperor stage and truly transform into a human to cultivate. "That's good." He nodded. He knew that with the blood jasper ginseng's grade, it was normally impossible for him to reach the demon emperor stage unless he had unique conditions. However, in this mysterious space, anything could happen. He also wanted to know what kind of abilities the blood jasper ginseng would have once he transformed into a human. Of course, it was probably impossible for him to have battle prowess. For a creature like the blood jasper ginseng, even if it was at the demon void stage now, it was still no match for a normal true origin stage human. It could only be said that its ability to escape was superb. "Call me if you need anything. I'm going to continue cultivating." The blood jasper ginseng did not say much to and then went back into the herb field. Began to patrol the mysterious space again. Just as he was looking around, a beautiful figure slowly stood up in the distance. Feng Qi. Was startled and looked at the girl. This girl was Feng Qi, who had been in seclusion in the mysterious space. She had received the cultivation technique taught by Merciless West and had been in seclusion for several months. She had finally woken up today. "You're here." Seeing Feng Qi Was very happy and quickly ran to him. Your strength, your progress is terrifying. Su sized up the girl in front of him and found that Feng Chi-er's strength was almost at the true origin stage. This was a little terrifying. In just a few months, this progress was too terrifying. The cultivation technique that Sir gave me is extraordinary. I can control the calamity chi and poison soul, and my strength has improved a lot. Feng Chi-er's face was full of smiles. She was like a little bird, talking to Su nonstop. She seemed to have never been so happy. Her face was filled with the most relaxed and comfortable smile. Sui knew that Feng Chi did not have a happy life in the Feng family village for more than 10 years. Many people looked at her strangely. But now, with the calamity chi and poison soul under control, not only would it not threaten her life, but it would also be a great help. This was a huge change. I'll take you to see Big Brother later. He'll be very happy to see you like this. Sui smiled and nodded. Big Brother was interested in the uniqueness of Feng Chi-er's calamity chi and poison soul. In just a few months, this girl was about to break through to the true origin stage. It was really terrifying. With such an extraordinary disciple, Big Brother Merciless West would be very happy. Sui also wanted to know what path Big Brother was going to take her in. In addition, what was the true power of the calamity chi and poison soul? Chapter 1134. While Sui and Feng Chi were talking, a huge change suddenly occurred where Su Xiaoshui was. The colorful cocoon emitted rays of light, which gradually converged and flowed like water. The huge phantom of the phoenix still appeared in the void, but it was no longer as ethereal as before. Instead, it became more and more solid. Coo! A piercing screech resounded in the void. A divine bird flapped its wings, broke through the colorful light, and soared into the sky. The divine bird was covered in blazing flames and appeared out of thin air. Rumble! In an instant, the void was filled with colorful lights, and the sound of wind and thunder was incessant. The divine bird flew into the sky and overlapped with the phantom of the phoenix. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Layers upon layers of terrifying pressure quickly spread out in the void. It was aggressive and majestic. The surrounding void was filled with monstrous flames. The eyes of the divine bird seemed to contain two seas of fire, like two rising suns, looking down at the world with disdain. Its terrifying aura was extremely shocking. Su Xiaoshui's aura is so strong. Sui and Feng Chi were both stunned. Su Xiaoshui had broken through to the Demon Emperor realm, but his aura was so terrifying. This kind of aura was not something an ordinary Demon Emperor realm cultivator could compare to. Coo! Another phoenix cry was heard. Immediately, the divine bird circled in the void several times and gradually became smaller. Then, like a bolt of lightning, it struck the sky and landed in front of Sui and Feng Chi. Boss! Su Xiaoshui flapped his wings and looked at Sui calmly. Not bad. You broke through so quickly, Sui said with a smile. He looked at Su Xiaoshui in front of him. All the colorful light had converged, and he had returned to his ordinary appearance, which was not eye-catching at all. However, if one looked closely, the invisible Demon Emperor aura on him was much stronger than before. This is nothing. I just broke through to the second level of the Demon Emperor realm. Su Xiaoshui did not think much of it, and said indifferently. Sui immediately rolled his eyes. This little guy was really extraordinary. He didn't even care about the Demon Emperor realm. However, it was true that his bloodline was too powerful. These breakthroughs were just natural for little handsome Sui. At the very least, Sui had never seen this guy cultivate. When other people were cultivating in seclusion, handsome Sui would complain that he was bored and look for fun everywhere. The difference between a human and a bird was so huge that it was infuriating. Just as they were talking, a huge commotion came from where the purple elephant emperor, the dragon rhinoceros emperor, and the mystic turtle emperor were. Huff, huff, huff. All three of them had surging auras that were as deep as the abyss and as vast as the sea. Roar! A series of low growls spread out. The shadows of the purple flame raging elephant, the dark gold dragon rhinoceros, and the heavenly dark armored tortoise appeared. After a short while, the demonic beast's aura slowly disappeared. The endless light also dispersed, revealing three figures. All of you have successfully broken through. Seeing the three of them, Sui couldn't help but walk up and ask with a smile. "Thank you, Master." Seeing Sui walk over, the purple elephant emperor, the dragon rhinoceros emperor, and the mystic turtle emperor immediately knelt on the ground and said to Sui excitedly. The opportunity they had obtained this time was too great. It was unimaginable in the past. In such a short period of time, their strength had greatly increased. At this time, the three beast emperors had all entered the 5th level of the demon emperor realm. Even a mystic turtle emperor had reached the peak of the 5th level and was close to the 6th level. It was even more powerful than the devouring spirit emperor's breakthrough. "Get up. We're all on the same side now. There's no need to be so formal." Sui said. He was overjoyed. There is too much good news today. The strength of these three beast emperors was about the same as the Green Emperor, the Yin-Yang Underworld Emperor, and the Devouring Spirit Emperor. They were three powerful forces. Now that the Green Emperor and the other two had entered seclusion, Sui was more confident with the Purple Elephant Emperor and the other two in the following operation. Soon, the Purple Elephant Emperor and the other two saw that the Green Emperor and the other two were cultivating with their eyes closed. They couldn't help but be surprised. They're about to break through again, so they're all in seclusion. During this time, you guys will be following me, Sui said. However, when the Purple Elephant Emperor and the other two heard his words, they smiled helplessly. They thought that after this breakthrough, they were about the same strength as the three beast emperors and could compete with them. The three of them clearly remembered how they'd been beaten up miserably earlier. Even now, when they recalled those scenes, they could still feel cold sweat dripping down their backs. Although they were working under the same master now, they still needed to get back some of the humiliation. Now, they were about to break through again. Didn't this mean that revenge was hopeless? The three beast emperors were dejected. This was the benefit of following their master earlier. "Let's go. We have something important to do," Sui said again. Then he led little handsome Sui, Fengqi and the Purple Elephant Emperor out of the mysterious space. Before leaving, Sui looked at the big rock in the space. It was the giant soul stone that he had obtained from the 7-star sword school's mine. He felt that when he had time, he must study this thing with his big brother. "Kid, are you preparing to mine that primordial stone mine?" Merciless West asked as he looked at Sui in the Bawang sect's main hall. There were only a few people present. When Sui took Nangong Ningyue and the others away, the other party had used information about a mine in exchange. However, Sui had been quite busy recently and didn't have time to plan for mining. The Bawang sect also didn't have enough manpower to mobilize, so it had been delayed until now. "Yes, it's time to mine. With enough primordial stones, we can do more things." Sui nodded and said. The Bawang sect's new residents also needed to set up a strange door illusionary spirit world. With the previous experience, Sui knew that any strange door illusionary spirit world required a large number of primordial stones to activate, so mining was necessary. In addition, he owed so many primordial stones to the Spirit Treasures Pavilion. There weren't many left after a year, so it was time to pay it back. Sui had always been distressed about how to pay back the 1 billion primordial stones. However, he was not afraid now. Even if he was burdened with a huge debt and faced with a huge demand for primordial stones, Sui didn't panic at all. This was the feeling of having a mine at home, full of confidence. At the same time, Sui was looking forward to it. He wanted to know how many primordial stones were hidden in the mine that Nangong Ningyue mentioned. If it was rich enough, then the Bawang sect would definitely make a big fortune. You don't know the cost of firewood and rice until you're in charge. For things like primordial stones, of course, the more the better. Sui mumbled to himself. Now, He was beginning to understand the importance of a mountain sect's foundation. The Bawang sect now had powerful manpower, but if they wanted to continue to expand, the resources were simply not enough. Even if countless rogue cultivators in the chaos domain came to seek refuge, you couldn't expect them to work for you without giving them any benefits. Sectmaster, the location of the mine is not too close to here. When do you plan to leave? Nangongning US said aloud. Once we take action, it is likely to attract the attention of other forces. At that time, the mine will need many people to guard it, so I think we must make arrangements. After all, the current Bawang sect's manpower is not enough. This is a problem. Su-yi frowned and said, in the next few days, you arrange the recruitment of manpower and let others do it. I will let 2 emperors oversee the sect. There won't be any accidents. You will come with us to find the mine. In any case, let's go and find out the situation there first. We have to eat one bite at a time and walk one step at a time. There's nothing that can be done overnight. Su-yi was very clear that things couldn't be delayed. It was impossible to wait for everything to be ready before doing it. That would only bring about unexpected changes. So, even if the Bawang sect's manpower was stretched, he didn't want to wait any longer. Understood. I will arrange it as soon as possible. Sectmaster, don't worry. Nangongning Yue nodded. After saying that, she left the main hall and went to arrange things for Yuan E, Yuan Air, and the others. In fact, in the past few days, the Bawang sect's name was like the sun in the sky. All the forces in the chaos domain knew about it. So, a large number of rogue cultivators began to gather in the vicinity. Many people came because of the fame and wanted to see the situation. Of course, there were also many people who came with the intention of relying on the sect. Let's go. Early the next morning, Su-yi, Merciless West, Little Handsome Su, Purple Elephant Emperor, Dragon Rhinoceros Emperor, Nangongning Yue, and the other 30 ordinary disciples rode the Flame-Winged Demonic Tiger, Golden Lion Vulture, Mystic Sun Golden Demon Falcon, and other flying savage beasts and left the Bawang sect. Huang Jian, Black Turtle Emperor, Yuan E, Yuan Air, and the others stayed behind to guard the sect. They needed to arrange the recruitment of manpower. With 2 emperors overseeing the sect and the Black Turtle Emperor's cultivation close to the 6th level of the Demon Emperor realm, Su-yi was very relieved. Where is the mine? How far is it? On the back of the savage beast, the Purple Elephant Emperor was also very curious and couldn't help but ask. Starting from the Bawang sect, with our current speed, we will need about a day to arrive. This distance is a little awkward. It's not far, but it's not close either. Nangongning US said, along the way, we will try our best to restrain our auras. We must keep a low profile and not let others easily detect us. Su-yi also frowned slightly and said, now that the Bawang sect's reputation had spread far and wide, if someone found out that they were moving, it would definitely attract the attention of countless people. This was definitely not good for their mining. Not only that, the most important point is that 100 miles away from the mine, there is a third-rate force entrenched. Chapter 1135. A third-rate force? Su-yi was startled. For a third-rate force, 100 miles was already under the other party's nose. It could even be said that the location of the mine might be within the jurisdiction of that force. If that was the case, once there was a movement, it would likely attract trouble at that time. That's right, a third-rate force called the Heavenly Spider Sect. Overall, it's about the same level as the Gimdeo sect, Nangongning US said again. Su-yi frowned slightly. He still had some impression of the Heavenly Spider Sect. He had seen it during the Alliance Conference's preliminaries. However, this force wasn't too strong. At most, it was at the middle level of a third-rate force. It didn't obtain the qualifications to enter the conference and become one of the top 10 third-rate forces. Su-yi thought for a while and said, let's be careful to avoid new problems. A third-rate force, the Bawang sect, was no longer afraid. However, once the news of the primordial stone mine was leaked, it would be a real problem. However, there was no better way at the moment. Some things could only be avoided with effort, but if something really happened, Su-yi wouldn't be afraid. The group of people rode on the flying barbaric beasts and moved quickly. Under Su Yi's instructions, the flaming winged demonic tiger, the golden lion vulture, and the others were all extremely low-key. They didn't emit a vast aura to avoid attracting the attention of others. Along the way, they encountered some weak barbaric beasts, but they didn't dare to be presumptuous in front of them, and all avoided them. Just as Nangong Ningyue said, they spent almost a day and finally arrived at a continuous mountain range. This place is called the Abundant Spirit Mountain Range. It's a little famous in the nearby area because many spiritual medicines of high grade have appeared here, but nothing too shocking has been produced. Therefore, this mountain range is only a little famous. For many rogue cultivators, it may be a rare treasure hunting ground, but generally, sects of a slightly larger scale may look down on it. On the back of the flaming winged demonic tiger, Nangong Ningyue turned her head and said to Su Yi and the others. Under the gazes of the crowd, the mountain range below was extremely vast. It was like a coiling dragon that stretched far into the distance, and one could not see the end of it. On top of all the mountain ranges, there were clusters of plants growing. There were towering trees as well as messy shrubs. In some mountain valleys, one could vaguely see some savage beasts roaming about. However, their overall strength was not too strong. In short, at a glance, Su Yi and the others only felt that this mountain range was very ordinary. At most, it could only be said that the spirit chi was slightly denser. Although similar places were not everywhere, it was still very easy to find. Hearing Nangong Ningyue's words, Su Yi understood that no one cared about this place most of the time. At most, some young sect disciples would come here to gain experience, but this didn't matter. Where is the exact location of the primordial stone mine? Let's go and investigate. Su Yi nodded and asked directly. It's still a little bit earlier. At that time, I only roughly determined some things, and then I was chased by the people of the 7-Star Sword School. So this time, we have to re-explore to really understand the specific situation of this mine. Nangong Ningyue said and signaled several savage beasts to land on the ground. Dozens of people all stood in a valley, surrounded by endless dense forests. Nangong Ningyue took out a compass-like object from a space bag. It was the size of 2 palms and was held in her hand. When the primordial chi was poured into it, a misty light was emitted from the compass. Brighter light spots were like naughty little insects. They quickly swam around the compass, fluctuating with a mysterious aura. This is probably similar to the surveying method of my previous life, right? Looking at Nangong Ningyue's movements, Su Yi couldn't help but think so. Nangong Ningyue said that this skill was passed down in her family. There weren't many people who really knew it. She could only be regarded as a beginner. Su Yi knew that there weren't many methods to take the initiative to find primordial stone mines in the world. However, those big forces would have their own skills to pass down. Swish, swish, swish. On the compass in Nangong Ningyue's hand, the light spots kept flickering and running. Her face was covered with sweat, and her primordial chi consumption was extremely fast. After about half an instant stick time, the light spots on the compass finally all stopped. There were about 7 or 8 light spots, arranged in a strange way, showing a mysterious pattern. Su Yi glanced at it and was completely clueless. The others, including Shi Wuqing, were also clueless. They couldn't understand it, no matter how hard they tried. Huff! Nangong Ningyue let out a long breath. After resting for a moment, her figure flashed and landed on a small hill in front of her. Dig 5 feet down here. Nangong Ningyue pointed and signaled the disciples of the Bawang sect to dig. Dozens of people obeyed the order and spent some time digging out a 5-foot pit in the soil on the hillside. Some rock layers appeared. Nangong Ningyue directly jumped into the large pit and chiseled some rocks. She held it in her hand and carefully sized it up. Let's go. After a while, Nangong Ningyue jumped into the large pit and rushed to another place. Su Yi, Merciless West, Little Handsome Su, Purple Elephant Emperor, and the others quickly followed. They changed places. Nangong Ningyue took out the compass again and urged her primordial chi to pour into it again. Not long after, she had people dig a large pit again. After entering the large pit, she even tasted the soil inside. Just like this, Nangong Ningyue changed dozens of places in a row. Every place she went, she would repeat these operations. Her primordial chi consumption was enormous. At first, it was still okay. She could swallow chi, replenishing medicinal pills to recover. But gradually, the chi replenishing medicinal pills were somewhat unable to support her. Su Yi simply gave her a bottle of spirit liquid again, allowing Nangong Ningyue to quickly recover. Time passed quickly. Unknowingly, the night deepened, and then dawn appeared. Almost a day's time passed before they finished all the work. And Su Yi and the others also saw that a hint of relief appeared on Nangong Ningyue's face. At the same time, there was also some joy. Secmaster, I've already surveyed the approximate location of the Essence Stone Mine. Overall, roughly a radius of 10 miles is a mining area. The amount of Essence Stones hidden inside should be quite a lot. Nangong Ningyue said, a mining area with a radius of 10 miles. Su Yi, Merciless West, and the others were all stunned when they heard that. This could be said to be a very large mining area. The scale was not small. As long as there were no accidents, they would harvest a lot of essence stones. Very good. Su Yi nodded his head incessantly, incomparably excited in his heart. Immediately, he asked again, then can you determine what grade the essence stones here are? Are there second grade, third grade, or even fourth grade? His two eyes shone, looking at the woman in front of him expectantly. Nangong Ningyue was somewhat uncomfortable being looked at by Su Yi like this. She smiled helplessly and said, Secmaster, do you think that high-grade essence stones are cabbages in the field? How can they be so easy to find? What comes out of normal mine are first-grade essence stones. There might be a portion of second-grade essence stones. If you're lucky, it's normal to have a few third-grade essence stones. But you opened your mouth and said fourth-grade essence stones. This, not only Nangong Ningyue, but Merciless West, Purple Elephant Emperor, and the others also rolled their eyes at the same time. Their sect master's thoughts seemed to be a little too big. Haha. Su Yi smiled embarrassedly and did not say anything more. Of course, he knew that what he said was a bit excessive. But imagining it, there was even more anticipation in his heart. The specific grade of essence stones, after we start mining, we'll have some conclusions. As for high-grade essence stones, there might be, but we can't have too much hope. That's something that can be encountered but not sought. Nangong Ningyue said again. Right now, the essence stones had not been mined yet. Therefore, there were many things that she could not say. Okay, then let's start preparing to mine. Su Yi nodded, suppressed the excitement in his heart, and began to look at the surrounding situation. Under normal circumstances, there would not be too many people coming down from this mountain range. But once their Boang sect began to mine essence stones, it might be safe for a short time. But after a long time, someone would inevitably know. Therefore, the defense here was a problem. In addition, now that the Boang sect did not have enough manpower, they might need to recruit some rogue cultivators to act as miners. I'll explore again and see where to start mining. Nangong Ningyue said. After speaking, she began to run again and continued to explore. Su Yi and the others could not help much, but they all followed behind. The group of people began to move about in this area. It was also during this period that a group of people from nearby also came to this place. This group of people was led by an old man, and there were 500 to 600 young and middle-aged people around him. It was a large group of people. The most eye-catching thing was that these people were riding on their mounts. They were huge spiders that were at least 5 feet tall. Each spider had black and red stripes on its body, which looked extremely terrifying. All the spiders added together, there were at least 100 of them. Elder, is the news obtained by the sect accurate? Did they really find an essence stone mineral deposit? On the back of the spider, among the crowd, a young disciple asked the old man in the lead. There was also a strong sense of excitement in his words. Of course it's true. Our trip is to take the lead and completely occupy this place to avoid any unexpected changes." The old man with a grizzled beard nodded and said affirmatively, "You don't have to doubt this matter. This is also a huge opportunity for our heavenly spider sect. Some powerhouses have already surveyed it. It is said that the grade of this mineral deposit is not low, and the scale is not small." "That's great." Many disciples around the old man were also overjoyed. "You bunch of little kids, put in more effort. As long as the matter here is done well, the sect will naturally not lack your benefits." The old man glanced at the surrounding crowd and said, "Yes, elder son." The disciples all responded respectfully. Chapter 1136. Not long ago, the experts of the celestial spider sect discovered the existence of a primordial stone mine and immediately conducted an exploration. In the end, they confirmed one important thing. The primordial stones here were of very high quality. After the exploration, they even erased all traces of the exploration to avoid being discovered by others. Then, the experts of the celestial spider sect came and prepared to occupy this place. This group of hundreds of people was the first to arrive. Soon, the experts of the entire celestial spider sect would arrive and enter the true mining stage. The white-bearded old man, called Elder Sun, looked at the expressions of the disciples and couldn't help but stroke his beard as his eyes lit up. There were some things that he didn't say to these disciples. According to the results of the exploration, this mine was much larger than expected. At the same time, the primordial stones were also of very high quality. Most of them were second-grade primordial stones, and there were even many third-grade primordial stones. This time, my celestial spider sect will definitely take the opportunity to rise and improve our strength greatly. The old man's eyes were burning as he thought to himself, if such a mine was completely mined, it would definitely be a monstrous fortune. It would be enough to raise the overall level of the celestial spider sect disciples by a level. They could also recruit a large number of people and make the sect more prosperous. As long as everything was stable, the celestial spider sect could dominate this area. It was even possible for their foundation to be comparable to a second-rate force. Thinking of this, Elder Sun's heart was burning with passion. The stronger the sect, the more benefits he would naturally receive as one of the most powerful elders. I hope the news doesn't leak out. If it attracts the covetous eyes of other forces, it will be a big problem. Elder Sun thought to himself. All the higher-ups of the celestial spider sect had the same worry. With the richness of this ancient mine, if the news leaked out, it would definitely attract the attention of many third-rate forces. Not only that, if any second-rate force knew about this, they would definitely interfere. After all, the primordial stones here were too tempting. Because of this, there were only a few people in the celestial spider sect who truly knew about this mine. The news was extremely strictly controlled. However, at the same time, in order to not arouse suspicion, they didn't cover up the news too much. They just wanted to give the outside world the misconception that this primordial stone mine was only ordinary. An ordinary primordial stone mine would attract the attention of third-rate forces, but they would definitely not fight to the death over it, because it was not worth it. And for a sect like the celestial spider sect that had already occupied it, no one would easily come and snatch it from them. Hundreds of people from the celestial spider sect traveled, and Elder Sun sat on the back of a large spider at the front. All of a sudden, his aged eyes narrowed. Why is there a deep pit here? Didn't they say that all traces of the investigation had been erased? In Elder Sun's line of sight was a huge pit that was several feet deep. There were piles of soil and rocks outside the pit. He was puzzled. The strong cultivators in the sect had said that they had erased all traces after their exploration to prevent others from noticing. But now there was a huge pit here. Elder Sun, this rock was recently dug out. Someone has been here recently. A man in his 40s frowned and said as he grabbed a handful of rocks and soil. There was no need for him to say anything. Elder Sun had also noticed the situation after a brief observation. Someone must have been here. Hurry up and look around. We can't let anyone find out what's going on here. Elder Sun immediately perked up. How could he dare to be negligent? If someone knew that there were rich mineral resources here, there would definitely be a fight. Even if they couldn't win against the Celestial Spider Sect, it would be very bad if the news was leaked. Let's go. Following the order, dozens of huge spiders moved. Their 8 thick spider legs crawled between the rocks and the forest as if they were walking on flat ground, shuttling back and forth at lightning speed. Soon, the Celestial Spider Sect group discovered many large pits. Moreover, the soil and rocks were newly dug out. Someone discovered the mineral resources here. Hurry up and find them. Seeing the many large pits, Elder Sun quickly understood that there must be a strong cultivator who was proficient in surveying who came here and knew that there was a source stone mineral resource here. Now, he only hoped that the other party didn't discover the specific amount of or stored here. Otherwise, it might cause a lot of trouble. Hundreds of people moved and quickly shuttled through the woodland. The huge spiders crawled as fast as the wind. On the other side, Su, Yi, and the others also entered a valley. Under Nangong Ningyue's instructions, dozens of Bawang sect disciples had already started digging. As time passed, a large hole as tall as a person was dug out on the side of a mountain next to them. Su, he was a little anxious and couldn't help but dig the rocks himself. The others were responsible for cleaning up the rubble behind him. Later, when they dug 20 feet deep, the rock layer began to shine with a sparkling and translucent light, flowing with a faint aura of spirit power. Source stones. Su, he was pleasantly surprised. He finally dug up source stones. However, this should be the outermost layer of source stones. The grade was very low. It couldn't even reach the first grade. It could be regarded as a mixture of source stones and stones. Sect Master, since we can dig out source stones here, let's start our first mine here. Nangong Ningyue was also unusually excited and said aloud. Okay. Su nodded. Among the entire Bawang sect, only Nangong Ningyue knew a little about this kind of thing. The rest of the people were all clueless, so they naturally had to listen to her. Our actions here will definitely be noticed by outsiders. Let's make arrangements as soon as possible and completely control this place. Merciless West said, Yes, right now, we don't have enough manpower and can't mine yet. Let's occupy this place first. Immediately arrange for people to go outside and recruit people to come to mine. Su Yi said, they all knew that without enough manpower, mining this mineral deposit would be very time-consuming. Moreover, the scale of this mine was not small. It was estimated that it would take a lot of time to finish mining. Doing as they thought, Su Yi and the others withdrew from the mine and let dozens of disciples start patrolling around. Moreover, the Purple Elephant Emperor and the Dragon Rhinoceros Emperor were also sent out. If we don't have enough manpower, we can set up a Wonder Gate illusionary spirit world on the periphery. This way we can save a lot of things. We just need to focus on mining. In addition, there are large amounts of source stones here. We can use the materials here to provide the energy needed. Merciless West sized up the surrounding terrain and said with a twinkle in her eyes, a mine was very important. It was also very necessary to spend some effort to set up a Wonder Gate illusionary spirit world. It could save a lot of guarding manpower. This matter will have to trouble Big Brother again. Su nodded and said, if there could be a Wonder Gate illusionary spirit world guarding here, it would be much more reassuring. Immediately, Merciless West did not delay and began to investigate the surroundings, observing the various terrains and landforms in preparation to set up the Wonder Gate illusionary spirit world. The range of the mine this time was 1 or 2 times larger than the Leaf Fire Mystic Sun world that was set up last time. Therefore, it took more effort. Sui followed behind his big brother, Merciless West, to help. He also sent Su Xiaoshui and Nangong Ningyue out to patrol the surroundings. Elder Sun, look, there are people over there. On the other side, the people of the Celestial Spiders sect finally saw figures. 6 people appeared in their line of sight. In fact, these 6 people were all disciples of the Bawang sect. They had a total of more than 30 people and were divided into 6 small teams to patrol the surroundings. It just so happened that this small team was the first to be encountered by the people of the celestial spider sect. Let's go and see who they are. The white-bearded old man's eyes flashed with a hint of sternness as he spoke in a deep voice. Under his yell, the giant spiders crawled rapidly in the forest and quickly swept in front of the 6 people. Who are you? Retreat quickly. This place has been occupied by us. Seeing the giant spiders and hundreds of people in a grandiose manner, the 6 disciples of the Bawang sect suddenly felt a little apprehensive, but they still shouted. After being yelled at, Elder Sun's face turned a little ugly. He coldly snorted and said, "Humph. This is what this old man wants to ask. Who are you? How dare you be so arrogant in my celestial spider sect's territory?" Some anger arose in his heart, and he directly brought out the name of the celestial spider sect. Looking at the clothes of the people in front of him, which did not look like the uniform of the disciples of a large faction, he felt that the 6 people did not have a strong background. Once the 3 words celestial spider sect came out, if they were from an ordinary small faction, they would definitely be frightened and admit defeat immediately. However, the strange thing was that Elder Sun clearly saw that the 6 people opposite him did not become nervous at all. Instead, they all heaved a sigh of relief at the same time. "Phew, you scared me." A burly man in his 30s let out a long sigh and suddenly beamed with joy. Looking at this imposing manner is indeed a little frightening. I didn't expect it to be the celestial spider sect. Now it's fine, another young man said with a smile. His expression was indescribably relaxed. The remaining few people also smiled lightly. The slightly tense atmosphere from before was suddenly swept away, and the scene became extremely strange. Everyone from the celestial spider sect was confused and did not know what was going on. Could it be that these people were all scared silly after hearing the name of the celestial spider sect? How dare you? Elder Sun was furious and coldly shouted, "How dare you look down on my celestial spider sect? I don't care where you come from. Since you dare to appear here, I'll send you on your way." As soon as he spoke, he directly ordered the giant spiders under his feet to move forward. The aura on his body also boiled. Elder Sun did not want to talk nonsense. He just wanted to kill these people directly. Since the other party had appeared here and said that they had already occupied this place, they must have discovered the origin stone mine. In this kind of situation, it was naturally the most effective to use ruthless means to deal with it directly. Chi chi chi. A gust of black gas spewed out from the giant spider's mouth. It lifted one of its front legs and instantly slashed out like a large saber in the air. When the 6 people from the Bawang sect saw this scene, all of their expressions changed. Chapter 11:37. Many people knew that the heavenly spider sect's most renowned existence was the sky fiend venom spiders they raised, and the one Elder Sun sat on even possessed a cultivation at the peak of the 9th level of the Demon True stage. Merely a single leg swept out, yet a terrifying might rippled out, and at the same time, a black mist suffused the air. When the plants ahead came into contact with the black mist, they were directly corroded into a strand of black smoke that rose into the air before vanishing into nothingness. It was obvious how strong its toxicity was. Elder Sun sneered as he watched this scene, and the 6 people before him had already revealed terrified expressions. There was utterly no need for him to make a move, and merely this sky fiend venom spider was sufficient to intimidate all 6 of them. When faced with the sky fiend venom spider's attack, a man that was around the age of 50 amongst the 6 instantly took a step forward and slashed out with a large saber in his hand. The dazzling saber light was like a waterfall that brazenly collided with the enormous spider leg. Bang! The spider leg was instantly blasted away by the saber light, and at the same time, black blood flowed down and dyed the ground red. There's actually an Origin Void stage martial artist. Elder Sun was stunned and slightly surprised. The person that attacked earlier possessed a cultivation at the 1st level of the Origin Void stage, and this was something he never expected. Fortunately, Elder Sun intervened in time and brought the Sky Fiend Venom Spider a distance away. Otherwise, merely that saber light from before would very likely have killed it. I'll say it again, quickly leave this place. Otherwise, no matter if you're from a Celestial Swine sect or the Celestial Dog sect, there's only one outcome: death. As he looked at Elder Sun, the voice of the Origin Void stage martial artist that attacked earlier went completely deep as he spoke coldly. OP latest F# chapter _ above hashtag. He knew from the depths of his heart that the old man before him was very likely an Origin Monarch stage martial artist, and the old man was much stronger than him. But he had sufficient confidence because the Bawang sect's current strength was extremely strong, and the commotion here had surely drawn the attention of the other Monarch stage experts. In other words, he would surely not die today. You're really arrogant. Aren't you afraid that the wind will cut your tongue? Elder Sun's face had completely collapsed. It was difficult for him to imagine exactly which power actually didn't take his Heavenly Spider sect seriously. As he spoke, Elder Sun's aura soared as his cultivation of the second level of the Origin Emperor realm erupted. He was prepared to attack and kill the Origin Void realm expert before him. However, the words spoken by the man at the Yuan Void stage directly caused Elder Sun to be shocked. The imposing aura on his body fiercely trembled, and the energy he'd condensed almost collapsed. If you dare to make a move, then just wait to be annihilated by our Bawang sect. When these words came out of the middle-aged man's mouth, it was like a clap of thunder that was heard by the hundreds of Celestial Spider sect disciples. Everyone was instantly dumbstruck. What? Bawang sect? Vigorous Yuan power undulated between Elder Sun's hands, but his body had stiffened. The disciples behind him were also shocked. Among them, there were a dozen or so whose faces were twitching nonstop, as if they had thought of something terrifying. So you do know about the Bawang sect? The man at the Yuan Void stage from the Bawang sect sneered as he mocked them. He was full of confidence because he could see a figure flying over quickly from afar. It was the Purple Elephant Emperor. So you're from the Bawang sect? Elder Sun was stunned. It was as if he had been struck by lightning, and he couldn't recover for a long time. Many of the Celestial Spider sect disciples weren't any better. The name Bawang sect was like the sun in the sky recently. With the end of the Alliance Conference and a series of recent events, the news had spread throughout the Chaos region. Everyone knew about the Bawang sect. The 7-Star Sword School and the Gimdeo sect were both annihilated a few days ago. Dozens of experts from the Tiangang sect came, but they all returned in defeat at the hands of the Bawang sect. Such strength made countless people in the Chaos region exclaim. At the same time, it made the Bawang sect's power flourish. No one dared to offend such a sect. At the very least, for third-rate forces, offending the Bawang sect might result in them being razed to the ground like the 7-Star Sword School and the Gimdeo sect. Elder Sun retreated. He didn't dare to attack. If he angered the young sect master of the Bawang sect, the Celestial Spider sect would really be in danger. One had to know that the Bawang sect's Yama, Merciless West, could even fight a half-step Origin Grandmaster. With such an expert around, the Celestial Spider sect was no different from a chicken or a dog. Swoosh! Just as Elder Sun was thinking, a purple-robed figure flew over and stood in the sky, looking down. It was the Purple Elephant Emperor who was rushing over. A dense demonic aura emanated from his body. It was as deep as the abyss and as vast as the sea, making it impossible to see through. Elder Sun of the Heaven Obscurity Spider sect felt that his soul was like a small boat in the storm under this aura, swaying involuntarily. Simply put, the difference in strength between him and the Purple Elephant Emperor was too great. Just the Purple Elephant Emperor's invisible aura alone was enough to completely crush him. Seeing this scene, the 6 Bawang sect disciples all sneered. Trespassing on the Bawang sect territory is simply courting death. After the Purple Elephant Emperor arrived, he didn't waste any time. A large purple flame soared from his body and burned through the void. The scorching heat spread out in an instant. Under this terrifying temperature, the hundreds of people from the celestial spider sect were shocked. The blood in their bodies seemed to be ignited, and the heat was unbearable. It was as if they were going to be burned to ashes. Whoosh! The purple elephant emperor waved his arm, and the boundless purple flame transformed into a giant elephant. It stepped down from the sky and ruthlessly stomped on the heads of the hundreds of celestial spider sect disciples, attacking them indiscriminately. Elder Sun's expression changed drastically under this pressure. He circulated his yuan qi with all his might in an attempt to resist. At the same time, he shouted, "We were too reckless. Please let us go, sir. We will leave immediately. Our celestial spider sect will not fight for this mine." At this moment of life and death, Elder Sun couldn't care less. He even said that he wouldn't fight for the mine. However, the purple elephant emperor ignored him. Since these people dared to come here and knew that there was a mine here, then it was better to kill them all to avoid trouble. The terrifying purple flame descended from the sky and enveloped the entire space. The high temperature madly invaded, and some of the mountain rocks began to turn red. There were even signs of melting. The celestial spider sect disciples all cried out in pain. Their souls were burned, and the shadow of death loomed over them. There were also those giant spiders that spat out black threads toward the sky. However, they were instantly burned into wisps of black smoke by the purple flame. Stop! However, at this moment, a clear voice came from afar. After hearing this voice, a trace of doubt flashed across the purple elephant emperor's eyes. However, he had no intention of disobeying. With a wave of his hand, he swept away all the flames. The purple flame that filled the sky disappeared as quickly as it came, as if it had never appeared. However, many of the celestial spider sect disciples had burn wounds on their bodies. It was as if they were being roasted. The sect leader is here. The 6 Bawang sect disciples raised their heads and saw Su Yi flying over from afar. They didn't understand why the sect leader asked the purple elephant emperor to stop instead of killing everyone from the celestial spider sect. Master, when Su Yi arrived, the purple elephant emperor immediately bowed. Su Yi nodded slightly. Then, he looked at Elder Sun and asked, "Does the celestial spider sect already know that there is a primordial stone mine here?" When Elder Sun's eyes met the young man's, he immediately lowered his head as if he was electrocuted. The moment he saw this young man, Elder Sun had already determined that this young man must be the legendary sect leader of the Bawang sect, the champion of the Middle States Sacred Martial Arts Conference, and a champion of the Alliance Conference, Su Yi. My lord, it is indeed so." Elder Sun bowed like a shrimp and said respectfully. He endured the pain from the purple flame and didn't dare to neglect the young man in front of him. If he wasn't careful, he might really die here today. Someone already knows about it. Su Yi frowned, and his expression turned cold. He was very unhappy that the celestial spider sect knew about the mine. He had already expected this outcome. Otherwise, these hundreds of people wouldn't have come here for a vacation. After thinking for a moment, he asked Elder Sun, including the celestial spider sect, how many people know about the specific situation here. My lord, currently, only the people of the celestial spider sect know about the mine. However, only a few origin emperors and important figures in the sect know about the rich mine here, Elder Sun said nervously. Under Su Yi's gaze, he felt too much pressure. The other party didn't seem like a young man who was only at the origin void realm. Instead, the power that he revealed made him, an origin emperor, fearful. So many people already know. Su Yi raised his eyebrows again and fell into deep thought. It wasn't good news that so many people in the celestial spider sect knew about this. In addition, they had already found out that the mine was very rich. If this was leaked, it would be even worse. Su Yi felt a little melancholy. He hadn't even started eating yet, but he already knew about this. Master, let's kill all these people to prevent any hidden dangers. Also, let's destroy the celestial spider sect as soon as possible. I don't think the news will really leak out. The purple elephant emperor came to Su Yi's side and exuded a murderous aura. He didn't try to hide his words, so everyone present heard him. "Spare our lives, my lord. We didn't recognize Mount Tai and shouldn't have come here." Elder Sun immediately knelt on the ground and kowtowed nonstop. Chapter 1138. The hundreds of celestial spider sect disciples were also dejected. The power that the purple elephant emperor had just displayed was still fresh in their minds. That terrifying purple fire could quickly burn them to ashes. Among the hundreds of people, there were no true experts who could match up to him. Once he attacked, the hundreds of people from the celestial spider sect would not be able to escape. They could only wait to be burned to ashes. "Don't be so murderous." Su Yi stared at the purple elephant emperor and said indifferently, "Capture all of these people, seal their cultivation, and then bring them all away." As Su Yi spoke, he turned and left, preparing to continue helping his elder brother, Merciless West, set up the illusory spirit world. "Master, why keep him alive?" The purple elephant emperor looked at Su Yi's back and asked curiously. They were all from the celestial spider sect, and they even knew about the mine. Keeping them alive did not seem like a good thing. However, after hearing Su Yi's words, everyone from the celestial spider sect was overjoyed. The Bawang sect leader had spoken, which meant that their lives were saved. Su Yi had already flown far away, and he did not even turn back. However, after hearing his reply, the purple elephant emperor's eyes suddenly lit up, and the hearts of the celestial spider sect members sank again. The young man's reply was very simple. There were only 3 words: "Become a miner." "Good idea." As expected of Master. The purple elephant emperor's mouth was wide open, and he was beaming with joy. He felt that Su Yi's idea was extremely good. Weren't they currently worried about the lack of manpower? Now that they had captured these hundreds of people, they could also solve some of their urgent needs. The celestial spider sect is really a good person, giving us hundreds of miners in one go, and there are even origin emperors among them. Not bad, not bad. As the purple elephant emperor spoke, he landed directly on the ground. He struck out a series of restrictions that landed on Elder Sun and some of the origin void realm cultivators. However, none of them dared to resist at all. As for the majority of the other disciples, the purple elephant emperor completely ignored them. "Take them away." With a shout, 6 Bawang sect disciples began to drive the hundreds of people into the mine. The purple elephant emperor was also hovering in mid-air, following closely behind. Several hundred celestial spider sect disciples were brought to the previous mine and handed over to Nangong Ningyue to manage. Everyone was asked to hand over their interspatial bags. They then took out their weapons and began to dig. It was under such circumstances that the Bawang sect's primordial stone mine in the Fengling mountain range finally began its real mining. Haha, sect leader is indeed wise to have thought of such a method. The Bawang sect members were overjoyed when they saw the heavenly spider sect members bustling about. The celestial spider sect's several hundred people were suddenly captured by us. Their sect will definitely find out soon. It's best that we make preparations early. Shi Wuqing had also learned of this matter and reminded Su Yi while they were in the phantom spirit world. "It's fine. It's just the heavenly spider sect. I was worried that they wouldn't come," Su Yi said with a smile. Merciless West looked at him and couldn't help but shrug. He felt sorry for the heavenly spider sect in his heart. With Su Yi's personality, he probably couldn't wait for everyone in the heavenly spider sect to come and mine the heavenly spider mine for the Bawang sect. Merciless West didn't say anything else and continued to set up the phantom world. This time, he still used the leaf fire mystic sun realm. With the previous experience, he operated it much faster, but it was still an extremely exhausting thing. In addition, the scale of the arrangement this time was much larger than the previous one. In the Fengling mountain, everyone was busy with their own duties. The purple elephant emperor, the dragon rhinoceros emperor, and the others led dozens of Bawang sect disciples to patrol the periphery to prevent anyone from intruding. Su Yi and Merciless West were busy setting up the phantom world. Nangong Mingyue led several Bawang sect disciples to guard hundreds of people from the Heavenly Spider sect and supervise them as they excavated the Heavenly Spider sect. With most of these people's cultivations sealed, there was no need to worry about any trouble. In addition, handsome Su was nowhere to be seen. She had no idea where he had gone. He was a little puzzled. Although little handsome Su was still young and didn't know much, he should be able to distinguish his priorities. He shouldn't have run out to play when he needed help. He wasn't worried about little handsome Su's safety. After all, that guy had broken through to the Demon Emperor realm. If he really encountered any trouble, the unlucky ones would be others. As Sui was busy assisting his elder brother, Merciless West, he didn't look for little handsome Su. What surprised him was that on this night, soft shouts could be heard from afar. Soon, Su, and the others were all surprised to see a small bird flapping its wings and flying in the air. Below him, there were no less than 20 figures who were being chased by this small bird and quickly moving forward in the forest. Moreover, these 20 figures didn't dare to hesitate at all. It was as if their lives would be in danger if they were a little slower. What is little handsome Su doing? Su, Merciless West, Purple Elephant Emperor, Nangong Mingyue, and the others were all surprised and turned their gazes to the small bird. Boss, little handsome Su quickly led these 20 people in front of Su, as if he was herding a flock of chickens and ducks. After seeing Su, little handsome Su directly landed on his shoulder and said excitedly, "I found another 20 or so miners. Quickly let them mine for essence stones." Everyone looked at each other and laughed. Su didn't know what to say. Little handsome Su, this guy was learning from him. But Su felt that this kind of method seemed to be pretty good too. "Since you all came here, then stay behind and help us mine the essence stone mine. I won't treat you all unfairly either. All of you, Essence Soul Realm and above, can get a monthly wage of 1 Essence Stone, Essence Profound Realm 2, Essence Spirit Realm 3. He had his hands behind his back and arrived in front of the 20 over people. His gaze swept over. These people were mostly just at Essence Profound Realm. It looked like they were all itinerant cultivators from the Chaos region. Their cultivations weren't strong. To martial artists at this level, 1 Essence Stone was already a decent reward. Back then, he was inside the barbaric demon forest. The Black Fiend sect's Essence Stone wages were about the same. He didn't intend to use these people as slaves. He had his own principles when doing things. It was better to have an equivalent exchange. Moreover, offering a clear price would make these people more motivated. For the Bawang sect, there wouldn't be any losses. However, it was impossible for Su to pay those people from the Celestial Spider sect. They were already considered enemies in the unseen world. My lord, is what you said true?" As soon as Su Yi's words came out, the 20 over itinerant cultivators couldn't believe their ears. They suspected that they had heard wrongly. Not only these people, but even the disciples of the Bawang sect didn't understand Su Yi's thoughts. In the Chaos region, it was common for people to eat each other. As itinerant cultivators who weren't strong enough, how many people would care about their lives? In this place, strength was everything. The strong were the chopping block, and the weak were the meat on the chopping block. This was a truth that everyone could accept. Therefore, when Su proposed to give these itinerant cultivators wages, everyone didn't understand. "I am the sect master of the Bawang sect. I will keep my word. Of course, if you dare to play any tricks in the process of mining essence stones, then don't blame me for being impolite." Su nodded and said affirmatively, "Bawang sect." As soon as they heard these 3 words, the 20 itinerant cultivators were stunned. This sect was now famous. Who in the Chaos region hadn't heard of it? They were all surprised. It turned out that they were brought to the Bawang sect's territory. This was too much of a coincidence. "My lord, I want to join the Bawang sect. Please take me in." Suddenly, a young man in his 20s bowed to Su and said aloud, Su was stunned. Su Xiaoshui, Nangong Mingyue, and the others were also surprised. They didn't expect this to happen. "Why do you want to join the Bawang sect?" Su raised his eyebrows and asked. He immediately saw that this man's cultivation had reached the origin spirit realm. His talent was not bad, but it definitely couldn't be called outstanding. My lord, I've heard a lot about you and the Bawang sect's deeds recently. Each and every one of them makes one's blood boil. I yearn to join such a sect. Coincidentally, I heard that the Bawang sect is recruiting people. I heard about it and was about to rush over. It's just that. The young man bowed slightly. As he spoke, he paused and glanced at Su Xiaoshui. Then, he continued to speak respectfully. In addition, I know that the Bawang sect doesn't have many people at the moment, so I want to join and become a member. With my talent and cultivation, if I were to be placed in other established forces, they would look down on me. However, the Bawang sect is different. I feel that I have a chance to become stronger here. The young man spoke very sincerely. Many people unconsciously nodded when they heard his words. They could also understand that it was very difficult for a loose cultivator to truly rise without a backer. Just as the young man said, with his cultivation, ordinary established forces would look down on someone like him. He was considered a dispensable character in the sect. However, the Bawang sect was currently recruiting people and didn't put forth too many requirements. He was originally active in a nearby area and had heard about it. He was about to rush over to sign up, but who would have thought that he would be kidnapped and brought here by a valiant little bird? This time, he had hit the jackpot by a stroke of luck. You can join the Bawang sect, but you must obey orders. In addition, the benefits you receive will be measured according to your contributions to the sect. If you don't do enough, you'll even get less than what you get as a minor. Think about this carefully first, Su Yi said. Really? Chapter 1139. Looking at the young man's appearance, the remaining rogue cultivators were silent. They naturally understood what this young man was thinking. As a disciple of a sect, he must make contributions to the sect in exchange for benefits. No force would raise idle people. Therefore, the problem that Su Yi mentioned was not a problem for them at all. In the eyes of a group of rogue cultivators, this Shu Qingfu was really clever. He immediately hugged the thigh of the Bawang sect. With these 3 words alone, not many people in the Chaos Realm would dare to provoke him in the future. The Bawang sect was equivalent to a protective talisman. It's good that you've thought it through. Get up. Su Yi nodded and handed the young man to Nangong Ningyue, letting her arrange Shu Qingfu's work. Sir, I also want to join the Bawang sect. Sir, please take me in. Soon, among the remaining 20 or so rogue cultivators, less than half of them spoke to Su Yi. Sectmaster, leave this matter to me. Nangong Yue walked in front of Su Yi and said aloud. Okay. Su Yi didn't say anything and walked away, continuing to busy himself with Merciless West. It was impossible for him to recruit people by himself. Moreover, Su Yi felt that he might not be as good as Nangong Ningyue. Those who want to join the Bawang sect, stand up. The others go and arrange for the mining of origin stones. Nangong Ningyue immediately began to arrange matters. Although these people were not many, they could still play a big role. Of the 20 or so rogue cultivators, about 13 or 14 chose to mine the ore. The remaining 7 or 8 people all wanted to join the Bawang sect. In fact, for many rogue cultivators, if they had enough strength and didn't choose to join a force, it was because they didn't want to be bound and wanted freedom. As for those rogue cultivators who were not strong, most forces looked down on them and were forced to choose to be alone. In a situation where one's strength was insufficient, who wouldn't want to have a powerful force behind them? Of course, this was not absolute. Just like the 13 or 14 individual cultivators who chose to become miners, they were probably thinking more about whether the Bawang sect was reliable. However, judging from the current situation, at least Su Yi and the others hadn't cheated them yet. While Mount Fengling was busy, less than 100 miles away, several people were sitting in the main hall of the third-rate Celestial Spider sect. Elder Sun and the others have already gone to the mine for a few days. Why haven't they sent any news back? At the head of the hall, a man in his 50s frowned and spoke in a deep voice. This person was the sect master of the Heavenly Spider sect, Luo Jing. Could there have been an accident? We can't afford to lose this mine. If others find out, we'll be in trouble. Another old man spoke. His tone was solemn. That shouldn't be the case, right? This information has been tightly sealed, and only a few of us know about it. There shouldn't be any accidents. A middle-aged man frowned and asked in bewilderment. We'd better be careful. If other third-rate forces find out about it, it'll be quite troublesome. At the head of the hall, Celestial Spider Sect Master Luo Jing spoke again in a deep voice. In addition, once the news of this mine reaches the ears of second-rate forces, the result will be even worse, so we must be careful. Everyone in the hall nodded silently when they heard this, expressing their agreement. The mine had an extremely rich reserve of source stones. Coupled with the results of the exploration, there were a large number of 2-star source stones and many 3-star source stones. If news of this were spread, even second-rate forces would be envious and would come to snatch it. Elder Yuan, how are our preparations going? At the head of the hall, Luo Jing suddenly looked at an old man and asked. Reporting to Sect Master, everything has been prepared. We can set out to the mine in a few days to harvest source stones. The old man called Elder Yuan bowed slightly and then continued. The only problem is the manpower for mining. When the time comes, we'll make other plans. Luo Jing nodded when he heard this and said, We'll talk about the miners later. When the time comes, we'll send disciples to capture rogue cultivator slaves, and everything will be settled. He paused for a moment and then said, Since everything is ready, let's set out as soon as possible. There's no time to lose. This time, I'll leave it to Elder Yuan and Elder Sun to worry about. Yes, Sect Master. Elder Yuan cupped his hands and said seriously. Elder Sun had already gone to the mine, so the two of them would take charge of the overall situation when the time came. In addition, in order to avoid any accidents, I'll go and investigate first to make sure that Elder Sun and the others are fine. Luo Jing thought for a moment and said. Everyone in the hall agreed, but they also felt that they might be overthinking this matter. Firstly, the Celestial Spider Sect's information was tightly guarded, and it was almost impossible for it to be leaked. Secondly, even if someone found something wrong, with Elder Sun's cultivation and hundreds of disciples, it shouldn't be difficult to deal with it. Moreover, even if they encountered a terrifying expert, they should be able to send a message back. In fact, what these people from the Celestial Spider Sect didn't know was that Elder Sun and the hundreds of disciples had encountered many experts from the Bawang sect and were directly wiped out. They were fine, but all of them had now become miners and were doing voluntary labor for the Bawang sect. Everyone in the hall of the Celestial Spider Sect dispersed, and just 4 hours later, another group of no less than 800 people gathered. Several people were in a group, and all of them were riding huge spiders. Under the lead of Elder Yuan, they began to set off for Mount Fengling. Elder Mu and I will go first. If there's nothing else, we'll return immediately. Luo Jing, the sect master of the Celestial Spider Sect, stood in the air. Beside him stood a white-haired old man who was also floating in the void, faintly emitting a powerful Origin Emperor aura. On the other side of Luo Jing, there was a middle-aged man in his 40s who wore a golden robe. However, his face was gloomy and there was a black aura around him, making him look terrifying for no reason. What was even more terrifying was that there were 8 slender arms growing out of his ribs. The aura of this middle-aged man was not much different from Luo Jing's. It was very terrifying. The 3 of them took the lead, and their figures were as fast as lightning as they flew towards the mine. Luo Jing had a feeling that things might not be so simple. To be safe, he had to personally take a look at the mine situation. The speed of an Emperor Realm cultivator was extremely fast, and a distance of less than 100 miles was nothing to them. There's someone in the mine. When they approached the mine, they sensed that there were people moving around on it. It's an outsider, not a member of the Celestial Spider Sect. Luo Jing slowly frowned. As far as his eyes could see, those people's attire was not the style of the Celestial Spider Sect at all. Obviously, there really was a variable here. Who dares to ruin the Celestial Spider Sect's important matter? Elder Mu's expression was extremely ugly as he said in a cold voice, "This mine was too important to the celestial spider sect. They had been very careful, but they didn't expect that there would still be a problem." At the thought of this, all three of them burst out with a terrifying aura, and their speed couldn't help but increase a little as they wanted to find out what was going on. "Let's be careful." After a moment, Luo Jing said with a serious face. He realized that the situation was unusual. The other party must be very strong. Otherwise, it would be impossible for Elder Sun to not be able to send a message back. With this thought in mind, the three Emperor Realm experts suppressed the terrifying aura on their bodies and landed in the mine's vicinity. "Who's there?" The three of them were very cautious, but unexpectedly, in the blink of an eye, a cold shout was heard. Immediately, they saw a purple-clothed middle-aged man and a golden-clothed burly man quickly coming over and landing in front of them. Two beast emperors. As soon as he saw the two of them, Luo Jing instantly recognized their identities. What powerful beast emperors! Elder Mu's face was already a little pale. The purple-clothed middle-aged man and the golden-clothed burly man's aura were too strong. With his cultivation of the third level of the Origin Emperor realm, he couldn't resist at all. Even breathing was difficult for him. The aura of the Heaven Fiend Poison Spider. "Looks like you're from the Sky Spider sect." The purple-clothed middle-aged man and the golden-clothed burly man were the purple Elephant Emperor and the dragon Rhinoceros Emperor respectively. They stared at the three people in front of them and sensed a familiar aura from the golden-clothed middle-aged man. It was similar to the Heaven Fiend Poison Spiders of the Sky Spider sect. Needless to say, these three people were naturally from the Sky Spider sect. "Who are you? Where is Elder Sun and the rest?" Luo Jing took a step forward and looked at the purple Elephant Emperor and the dragon Rhinoceros Emperor as he asked in a deep voice. "Huh." The purple Elephant Emperor chuckled and said indifferently, "Are you talking about that old man with the white beard? He's helping us open the mine. And all the disciples of your Sky Spider sect are also here. Not a single one is missing." The purple Elephant Emperor knew that with the strength of the Sky Spider sect, they probably only had 5 or 6 Emperor-level cultivators. Therefore, the 3 people who came, together with Elder Sun who was captured by them, were already more than half of the Sky Spider sect's peak combat strength. Therefore, he did not feel the slightest bit of fear. To the Overlord sect, all the third-rate forces were nothing. Destroying them would be child's play. "What?" The purple Elephant Emperor's words made Luo Jing furious. He understood that Elder Sun and the hundreds of Sky Spider sect disciples were captured by these people as slaves. "Who are you? How dare you attack the people of my Sky Spider sect?" Luo Jing's face was so gloomy that it was about to drip water. Their mind was now occupied and their sect disciples were being controlled. This made him furious. "The Sky Spider sect is nothing." The dragon Rhinoceros Emperor spat and said, "Since the 3 of you are here, then stay here too. It just so happens that we don't have enough people to mine the Vitality Stones. We'll use you guys to make up the numbers." Before he finished speaking, the dragon Rhinoceros Emperor stomped his foot in the void. It was like a mountain crashing down, causing a violent tremor. Chapter 1140. Amidst the disagreement, the dragon Rhinoceros Emperor directly attacked. Accompanied by a dark golden light, its burly and robust body charged out like a mountain. It was as if it was going to smash through space. Its momentum was terrifying. When the 3 from the Celestial Spider sect saw this, their expressions immediately became serious. It was not difficult for them to sense that the golden-robed man opposite them had reached the 5th-level Demon Emperor realm. He was indeed powerful. "I'll deal with him." Among the 3 people from the Sky Spider sect, the middle-aged man, who was also wearing a golden robe, rushed forward. He waved his 8 arms on both sides of his ribs and faced the dragon Rhinoceros Emperor. "Golden Spider, be careful," Luo Jing reminded in a low voice. A Demon Emperor, Realm, Heaven, Fiend, Poisonous Spider. Seeing the dragon Rhinoceros Emperor and the middle-aged man called Golden Spider collide, The purple elephant emperor could not help but raise his eyebrows and say, "This demon emperor realm heaven fiend poisonous spider was not easy to deal with." Moreover, the other party was also at the 5th level demon emperor realm, which was about the same level as the dragon rhinoceros emperor. "Then let me take the two of you down." The purple elephant emperor bellowed and took a heavy step forward. Terrifying purple flames spread out as he charged towards Luo Jing and Elder Mu. He threw out a punch that was so powerful that it could shake the world. In an instant, it smashed into Luo Jing's chest. This punch contained an aura that could destroy everything, causing the air to explode. "I don't care who you are. You must pay the price today." Luo Jing shouted coldly. The vitality in his body surged wildly as he also threw out a punch. Boom! The two collided in an instant. As their fists collided, an earth-shattering sound was heard. The vast sound waves swept out like a tsunami. The surrounding trees were snapped and fell to the ground. So powerful, Luo Jing's figure was directly blasted backward. He flew 1,000 feet away like a meteor before he managed to stabilize himself. The vitality in his body was turbulent as he suffered a huge shock. On the other hand, the purple elephant emperor only retreated 70 feet before stabilizing his body. In terms of strength, the difference between the two was obvious. The 7th level Origin Emperor realm is only SOSO. The purple elephant emperor chuckled and rushed out again. Every step he took in the void was like a small mountain crashing down, making loud noises. Soon, he was in front of Luo Jing again. The purple flames on his body danced wildly and turned into a wild elephant. It let out a long cry towards the sky and swept its trunk fiercely towards Luo Jing. "Elder Mu, let's join forces and suppress this demon emperor." Luo Jing roared when he saw the purple elephant emperor charging towards him. Then, he clashed with the purple elephant emperor once again. A terrifying attack erupted between the two of them. A 7th level Origin Emperor against a 5th level Demon Emperor. The terrifying power shook the void like a tsunami. The ferocious energy storm swept across the area, destroying the rocks and trees below and turning them into dust and smoke. Sect Master. The white-haired old man who came with Luo Jing felt his scalp go numb. He was extremely nervous. Luo Jing wanted him to work together to deal with this beast emperor, which made the old man feel extremely dangerous. He was at the 3rd level Origin Emperor realm. If he was not careful, he would end up in a miserable state. He didn't dare to get any closer to the terrifying purple flames that were burning. However, Elder Moose still braced himself and flew over. He floated around the periphery and attacked the purple elephant emperor continuously. On the other side, the battle between the dragon rhino emperor and the golden spider emperor was also very intense. Mu. The draconic rhinoceros emperor let out a moo as the horns on his head shone with a brilliant dark gold light. A huge dark gold draconic rhinoceros phantom took shape behind him. It was like a huge mountain as it soared through the sky. Tisk. The golden spider emperor's movements were not slow either. He waved his 8 arms and opened his mouth. A golden silk thread shot out and wrapped around the dragon rhino emperor. This was the sky fiend poison spider silk. It was extremely tough and could entangle countless powerful creatures. However, he was facing the dragon rhino emperor today, a beast emperor known for his strength. The sky was filled with spider webs, intertwining with each other to form a huge net that came crashing down from the sky. However, after the dragon rhino emperor charged past, the spider silk on the huge net broke apart one by one. It was not an effective hindrance to him at all. The sturdy dark gold dragon rhino rampaged in all directions in an absolutely tyrannical manner. It cleared all obstacles and then slammed into the golden spider emperor's body. Bang! The golden spider emperor's figure was sent flying in a straight line. He flew for several miles and crashed into a small mountain. Rocks flew everywhere and dust covered the sky. The golden spider emperor's entire body was buried by the rocks. After a while, He broke free and flew into the air again. What powerful strength! The Golden Spider Emperor looked solemn as he stared at the Dragon Rhino Emperor opposite him. After being hit by the Dragon Rhino Emperor, his chi and blood were in turmoil. His body felt like it was about to explode. I advise you to surrender. The Dragon Rhino Emperor snorted. However, in the next moment, a black light flashed across his face, and his expression changed. Seeing this, the Golden Spider opposite him sneered and said, "Do you really think that you can do whatever you want just because you can suppress me in terms of strength? Since you're so arrogant, then enjoy the taste of my innate fiend poison." The Dragon Rhino Emperor's expression was uncertain. He had just fought with the Golden Spider and used his absolute strength to crush the spider silk. However, his body was also contaminated with the innate fiend poison at the same time. This poison was unique to the innate fiend poison spider and was extremely powerful. If an ordinary cultivator came into contact with just a little bit of it, countless spider silk would quickly grow in their body from the inside out. It would then wrap their entire body and turn them into a large cocoon-like object until all their vitality was exhausted. The most terrifying thing was that this poison was very difficult to get rid of. Once touched, it would take root in the body. It was like a wild grass that would grow again after being burned by a fierce fire. I was careless. The Dragon Rhino Emperor's expression changed. Wisps of black gas circulated around his body, and he could feel some abnormal movements in his body. Relying on his tyrannical cultivation, he forcibly suppressed the poison. Then, he glared at the Golden Spider and said, "You want to take my life with this poison? You're too naive. Even if the poison really takes effect, I'll take your life right here and now." As he spoke, the Dragon Rhino Emperor charged toward the Golden Spider again. Unparalleled power burst forth. The void trembled, the earth shook, and the mountains trembled. A powerful aura filled the air, and invisible ripples spread out. Just this aura alone caused the Golden Spider's body to sway uncontrollably. As a beast emperor, strength was indeed not his forte. If he fought the Dragon Rhino Emperor head-on, the Golden Spider would definitely be at a disadvantage. "We'll see if you can kill me." The Golden Spider's expression was serious. He no longer dared to face the Dragon Rhino Emperor head-on and began to retreat. The Dragon Rhino Emperor did not speak. Just as he was about to transform into the Black Rhino Emperor and crush the Golden Spider again, a purple figure on the other side was also pushed back. This purple figure was the Purple Elephant Emperor. He did not gain any advantage under the joint attack of Luo Jing and Elder Mu, but he did not lose either. "Dragon Rhino Emperor, are you all right?" The Purple Elephant Emperor landed beside the Dragon Rhino Emperor and turned to ask him. "I'm not dead yet," the Dragon Rhino Emperor said. You two Beast Emperors are indeed strong, but you'll die if you act so presumptuously in the territory of the Heavenly Spider Sect." Luo Jing snorted when he realized that the Dragon Rhino Emperor was poisoned by the Golden Spider's poison. However, his words attracted the Purple Elephant Emperor's disdain. The puny Heavenly Spider Sect is nothing. Just wait to be uprooted by the Bawang Sect, the Purple Elephant Emperor said coldly. The Bawang Sect. Luo Jing's expression froze, and he was stunned for a moment. The Bawang Sect's name was like the sun in the sky. Of course, he had heard of it. Such a powerful existence was not something that the Golden Spider Sect could compare to. However, Luo Jing was not stupid. He would not provoke such a powerful enemy like the Seven-Star Sword School and the Gimdeo Sect. That would be unwise. However, who would have thought that the person who occupied the mine today was from the Bawang Sect? This was too much of a coincidence. Cut the crap and fight. I'd like to see how you'll die in the end. The Dragon Rhino Emperor did not want to waste any more time. His aura surged, and the horns on his head shone brightly, releasing a metallic luster. "Wait!" Luo Jing was startled for a moment and immediately shouted, "Why? Are you afraid?" The Purple Elephant Emperor sneered and asked Luo Jing. The three from the Heavenly Spider Sect fell silent. None of them spoke, and their hearts beat rapidly. There was an indescribable fear in their hearts. Only now did they know that these two beast emperors were from the Bawang sect. If they had known this earlier, they wouldn't have fought directly. Not to mention the fate of the Seven-Star Sword School and the Gimdeo sect. Even the Big Dipper sect had suffered a great loss at their hands. This news had spread far and wide. Moreover, Luo Jing, who led the Heavenly Spider sect disciples to the Alliance Conference's preliminaries, had personally witnessed the strength of the young Su Yi. The other party's decisive killing methods were still fresh in his memory. Just thinking about it made his scalp tingle. Since you're from the Bawang sect, I'm afraid there's been some misunderstanding. Luo Jing's mind raced. He thought of many things in an instant and thought of many countermeasures. However, in the end, he could only say this. The moment he said this, it was already tantamount to admitting defeat. Misunderstanding. The Purple Elephant Emperor raised his eyebrows, but did not say anything. He wanted to hear what Luo Jing had to say next. I'm sure everyone knows that there's a primordial stone mine here. To be honest, the Heavenly Spider sect discovered it a long time ago and began to send people here to mine. I didn't expect the Bawang sect to beat us to it. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.